Boom. Boom, boom.
What is
boom.
the title of this one going to be? What was the title of the first one?
Epic Universe Full Review, first half spoiler free.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Epic Revisited.
Universe Revisited.
Media Grand Opening.
Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to... Oh, God. Don't put that in, you son of a bitch.
That's going to help. The opening title card will come in right after.
I'm drinking a Celsius because it's giving me energy. Welcome to For Your Amusement, a theme park podcast that aims to exhaustively evaluate the world's most popular theme park attractions to determine if they are world class. I'm Ryan Bergara.
I'm Byron Marin.
And for today's episode, we are not going to be evaluating a single attraction, but rather an entire theme park. And this is actually the second time we will be evaluating this theme park. The theme park in question, of course, as you have seen on the title of this on YouTube or on your podcast app of choice, is Epic Universe. We had the great pleasure and privilege of going to Epic Universe again for the grand media opening. Ceremony took place on May 21st. That was for media folks. And then it was incredible. There was like a blue carpet. It was all done up, all dolled up, and we're going to give you our thoughts on the park as a whole as we experienced it for the second time and seeing if perhaps there were some rose-tinted glasses the first time around. But before we do that, some housekeeping up top. You could support this podcast by going over to fyapod.com if you'd like to do so to keep this thing going. You'll get up to 3 monthly bonus shows over there, as well as the free main show that you're watching right now, ad-free. And that'll be video and audio. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe to keep us alive. And if you're listening on podcasts, rate us 5 stars. It'll help us keep going. Back to the review. Byron, how do we start this thing?
Well, I wanted to ask off the top of your head, like, how did this trip differ from the previous one?
Well, I have to say, this trip was much more curated in a strange way than the first one. And by strange way, I mean, you would think the first one would be more curated because we were walking around with a guide. And he was, Rich, a lovely man who, if you've watched our vlog of that first experience, you'll see Rich a lot. But he was a great guy, walked us around. We were zipping around the park back and forth. Whereas this experience was very, very curated in terms of itinerary. Like we flew in on Tuesday?
We flew in on we flew out from LA early Monday morning. So we landed at roughly like 3:30 p.m. or so.
That's correct.
Eastern time.
Actually, that might be a good way to just start this off, is to just kind of lay out how the media event was laid out. And that also will be serve as a pseudo disclaimer as well, because again, we are evaluating this park through the lens of this media event. We did not go as normal guests, so take that for whatever you will. We're still going to be very honest with our opinions, obviously. But yeah, and also we will be releasing a vlog, if it's not already out yet, of the entire experience, which basically shows what it's like to be at one of these media events, from, the glamorous parts to the non-glamorous parts. And we had a blast. But basically how it was laid out, Monday we flew in on a 6 a.m., 7 a.m. flight, landed, went immediately... I mean immediately. You'll see this in the vlog. We landed and barely made our check-in time at 3:30 p.m. Eastern to check in over at the hotel at Stella Nova, where they then bussed us over to Helios. We saw a grand opening ceremony there. We saw Mark Woodbury give some remarks, as well as other very high-up Universal executives. Had some nice cocktails.
Sure did.
Which was great, overlooking the park.
If you happen to watch the vlog and you see some awkward shaking of the camera as Mark Woodbury's talking, it's because I have a wine glass in one hand.
That's right.
Or maybe I think it was an Aperol Spritz. I think they gave us
an Aperol
Spritzes.
Spritz, yeah.
And like before we knew it, because they were just handing those out as we were walking off the bus.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, we go in and they're giving all these like big talks, because like it was like as soon as we landed, they're like, oh, go, you got to get on this bus, get over there.
And it really was like that. And also waiting for us off the bus was just a line of Lowe's / Universal hotel employees who were just waving to us like we were getting off a ship on the White Lotus.
I was just gonna say it was like the first like pilot episode of White Lotus.
It was crazy, and I remember looking at Byron and in that moment truly thinking, what did we ever do to deserve this kind of welcome in this kind of park with these people? But it was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful view from the Helios looking over into the park. We did not get the opportunity to stay there. Eventually, we hope to. I know it's quite pricey, but it's a beautiful hotel, and so we watched that. And then after that, we immediately were bussed over to Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Orlando, where we met up with our VIP tour guide Maya, and they took us around the park to a bunch of different attractions. We did Hagrid's, we did Velocicoaster.
We got the bangers.
Sadly,
no Cat in the Hat this time.
It was a bangers only tour, and I had some issue with it not including Cat in the Hat. Because that is a banger. We haven't covered it on the show thus far, but we will. Trust me. Rest assured, we will.
Yeah, and the way it worked was right as our tour was starting, the park was closing down.
Yeah,
so we were essentially getting walked through a vacant Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios Florida.
It was crazy. It was nuts.
So I guess it kind of made sense. They weren't going to operate all the rides.
No, and we also got to see the backstage. Like we were walking like through all the backstage nooks and crannies of Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure to get to these attractions quicker, and that was really neat. That was just a really cool. And unfortunately for the vlog, you're not going to even be able to see those backstage areas because Maya, very strict, rightfully so, about filming any backstage areas. That's not for the public eyes. It shouldn't have been for our eyes, frankly. I don't think they knew who we were or had seen our show. That's not true. Shout out Linda LaGuardia over at Universal, the podcast representative.
Legend.
For inviting us to both of these events.
Our favorite person in the world.
She was able to sneak it by. Shout out to her, and truly eternally grateful. So we did that. We did that all night. It was awesome. Then the next morning, bright and early, check-in and breakfast at 6 a.m.
Yes, and although I don't believe they hosted a breakfast, they gave us vouchers, which was very nice.
Breakfast for the cafe at the Stella Nova.
At the cafe. But I also believe they had like breakfast food and stuff they had this. Once we went to the actual park,
it was the media center. They transported us to.
They had this massive media tent.
Yeah.
Where they had like kind of the stage, all these displays. They had like some merch on display.
Think of like a Halloween Horror Nights tent, except inside of it is not a maze, but a media center that was complete with pretty much everything media would need. There was like an editing room. There was like, I believe were there showers there? I don't think there were showers. No, because we would have considered that for our flight out. But there was like, food catering stuff. There was a stage, plenty of chairs. They had a whole like stand up that showed all the merch. Not all of it, but a good portion of it. The ones that I'm sure they wanted us to feature, which we did. We actually did a merch walkthrough in the vlog. It was the first time we've ever done something like that. But yeah, they had breakfast there. We did not know that. We had the cafe first. Anyways.
And once again, you could refer to all of this in the YouTube vlog that we put out.
We're just trying to paint the picture of what it was like. So that was there. Each day was laid out where we would explore 2 worlds per day. So that first day, this being now Tuesday.
We let off with Isle of Berk.
Isle of Berk, that's correct. Isle of Berk and then Super Nintendo World.
And what we would learn, because this was very different from the first trip we did where we didn't have a VIP tour guide taking us from ride to ride this time.
No, this was just them releasing all of the media, which was about 1,200 people, into this world. And then you had free reign of the land, or the world, rather. That's another thing. It's worlds, not lands. They were made sure to correct us on that in case you're trying to be up on the nomenclature there. But they just let us loose. And I mean, obviously, there's not a lot of people. So, I mean, the 1,200, that's roughly about, I would imagine, the hourly theoretical ride capacity of most of these attractions in this world anyway.
We're guesstimating 1,200 people. They referred to it as 500 units.
Yes. Yeah.
I believe that was the terminology.
I think for us, they said absolute units, though. Those 2 guys in the rides hats, absolute units. No, we were lucky enough to explore all of these worlds kind of at our own leisure and pace. And I mean, other than it being 1 billion degrees and walking on the surface of the sun with 100% humidity, which, people were fainting and throwing up. True. That, I mean, the Universal can't control the sun. It's Florida. It was I think some of the employees I was hearing, or the team members rather, were saying, I think this is supposed to be the hottest day of the year thus far. And I was like, great.
What's really sad though is I wouldn't notice how hot it was until like people would start bringing it up, and then I'd be like, yeah, you're right. Like I was just so enamored with.
No, it took about until 1 p.m. for it to finally set in. I was like, hey, my back is slick like a seal. I don't think that's how it should be. I mean, Isle of Berk. Let's just start there. Actually, before we do that, this is all over the place. Sorry, but we did those two, and then the next day, same schedule, 6 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and then they bus you back.
Yeah, basically, it was a 2-day event for Epic Universe. So we had the intro day when we first landed, which was Helios and the two pre-existing parks.
Yes. For
the 2 Epic days, they split it up by doing emphasizing 2 portals, 2 worlds. So for day 1. Isle of Berk, and then Super Nintendo World, and then the second day was Dark Universe and Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. And then Celestial Park you kind of got for both days.
Yeah.
To varying degrees.
It was a solid amount of theme parking, even for 2 like crazy park heads like us, like 9-10 hours in the sun. And you couldn't go home if you wanted to. Like, I know people, Byron and I, once again, walking around la-di-da, like Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest. But all these other media members, I kept, like, because I cannot stress enough the eclectic mix of media here. They were people like us. They were, people from theme park YouTube, our friends of the pod, like Mammoth Club and Ordinary Adventures, and like all the folks you would expect to see there. And then there were people that were sent from like, NBC News that were like, this was an assignment given to them by their boss, and they're like, fine, whatever. Like, I remember I was walking by this one lady. She was, we had just gotten off Hiccup's wing gliders. And we were in the aisle in that gift shop. And around this time, it was like, I want to say close to 11:30, because they also had lunch for us, graciously gave us lunch in between the worlds. And she was just like, I can't do it anymore. I've been up since 5 a.m. I barely slept. It's so hot. I want to go home. And then she couldn't go home because the first bus to go back to the hotel was 3:30. So if you didn't like theme parks, you were trapped. So that is the bad of it. I showed the itinerary to my non-theme park sicko wife, and she was like happy I couldn't make it. But for me, I looked at the itinerary and it was like kid in a candy store. I was like, yeah, when's the last bus?
Oh, I remember. Like, as soon as we got that email, you're like, have you seen the itinerary, Byron? Have you seen the itinerary?
It's so amazing. I was like, dude, this is like, I make itineraries that look like that for myself and my friends. So like, to have someone do it for me, I was like, dude, this feels like we've made it or done something right, at least. But anyways, that's the setup of it. It was, and then of course the last day was just, the grand opening ceremony.
And that was the same
day
as Dark Universe and Wizarding World.
That was a longer day. That day was like a true 6 a.m. to what? Yeah, 11 p.m.
We got like a brief late afternoon, like basically go freshen up at the hotel,
and then come back here,
change your clothes because you've been sweating all day.
Some people were doing the blue carpet too, and they needed to change into like nicer clothes.
Oh yes, like when we went down to the lobby, like to go back for the grand opening ceremony that night, like we kind of like looked like, wow, like people are like, a lot of people are dressed up for this.
I know, like even our contemporaries. And I mean, I guess it would be. I don't even know if we could compare ourselves to like a Mammoth Club in terms of like stature, because like they've been doing this longer and produce great content. But like folks like them, they were all dressed up too. And then Byron and I walked down. You could see the pictures. You know how ridiculous it looks to be standing on a essentially a red carpet event in basketball shorts. And I just was praying that we didn't run into Linda or any of the Universal reps, just being like, these are the guys we invited, the same folks who are walking the carpet that James Wan and like, I mean, allegedly Steven Spielberg. I don't know. I saw Brie Larson there.
Yeah, that's right.
The creator of Nintendo, and then Byron and I.
Yeah. I met Danny Elfman.
Oh, you met Danny Elfman, yeah, in line.
In the security line.
Yeah.
He was, because it was like a 2-sided security line, so he was like right across from me.
That's right.
Putting his stuff in the bins and stuff like that. So I couldn't resist. I was, what did I tell him?
No, I remember what you told him. It was pretty good.
I did. You know what? I looked at him and I'm like, hey, just so you know, like I've been here, and just like a pro tip for you, just listen to the music in Dark Universe. It's like really good. Just letting you know. And he started cracking up.
Because if you didn't know, Danny Elfman composed the music in Dark Universe, particularly if you want to really catch a tasty lick from the Elfman. Oh my God. Does anyone call him that? The Elfman? I didn't realize Elfman, like, whatever.
Hashtag it, make it happen.
The Elfman did a great little lick for when the Burning Blade Tavern sets ablaze, and the music cue for that is delicious. Please give me more. But yes, so that kind of is the entire gamut of the event. It was 3 just breakneck days of theme parking, a dream, and then it's over, and then the last day, Byron and I, our flight on Thursday. This is now day 4, the day everyone's supposed to go home. Our flight was actually at 8:30. We picked a late flight.
We did that by design.
On purpose, because we wanted to go to Busch Gardens, and we did. And I remember telling some of the other folks, like Molly and them, like, oh, we're going to go to Busch Gardens, and they were all like, hats off.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of the folks who were at the grand opening event had tickets that they had purchased prior to attend opening day with the general public on May 22nd, which was the Thursday. We were at Busch Gardens. And I saw a lot. I mean, that park was essentially vacant when people went. I think that was by design from Universal to avoid, you know, social media being like, I waited, 800 minutes for Monsters Unchained.
They looked into the history books. Like they've seen a lot of these park openings.
We could get into the capacity of certain rides. By the way, Monsters Unchained was a walk-on all day the first day of the general public, as was everything mostly, except for Ministry of Magic. More on that later. So let's go by world again. Let's do it in the order that we experienced it.
Yep. So Isle of Berk is what we kicked off with.
Or do you want to even go further? Do you want to go Helios?
Oh, yeah, we could go Helios.
What are your thoughts on the layout of it? Because we actually walked a fair amount of this. We actually even took the elevator up to the Dome Bar at the top. I forget the name of that bar, but
I thought I overheard someone at Stella Nova that works for Lowe's Hotels, and I believe I heard what was mentioned was that Helios has the least amount of hotel rooms out of all the Universal hotels.
500. That's why they didn't put us there.
Yeah,
that's how I know it was more than 500 people.
Yeah. And so I think, like, proximity-wise, the layout, I think everything's going to be insanely easy to get to. I think that's the biggest draw, just as someone who has not actually stayed there.
I agree.
Like, the grounds are not that large, which could be a detriment to some people, but a big advantage.
The garden area, though, that is in front of the hotel, if you're considering the front being the park-facing part, is beautiful.
Oh, yeah. It's
really
stunning.
picturesque. And there's a giant, this has to be one of the biggest windows I've ever seen of that, just kind of like if the cockpit went, when you go into the hangar for Rise of the Resistance and you look out and that giant hangar is like a giant screen that looks out into space, if that was actually just a big window that led out, and this window's bigger than that, I think, actually. It might be, maybe not. It's close, and that's the scale, though, if you're thinking of what the scale of this lobby looks like.
It's a big reveal.
It's awesome.
If anyone's familiar with Animal Kingdom Lodge, that feeling, it reminded me of the first time I walked into Animal Kingdom Lodge, and you see that big backdrop of the savannah and the big windows, except this is just a big-ass celestial park.
I know.
It has this big, beautiful statue, I think, of the celestial, launching the arrow.
That's right.
And it's a beautiful lobby.
And a great pool area, too. And bars are awesome, too. It's just a really well-done theme park hotel. And the rooms are, they're nice rooms.
They're nice. They're not the largest, because we did.
No.
This was on the first trip that we actually got to walk into the rooms. Mm-hmm. They look nice. I think the view is obviously incredible. If you have one of the park-facing views, I imagine that is much more expensive than the ones that face the other way. So I think that's the biggest value you have there is the incredible view. But I think in terms of the hotel, the rooms themselves, very nice, but like not the most like spacious.
No, but also, I mean, like, I think you're paying for just like being able to walk straight into the park because you're in the park. The hotel is literally in the park. That's so insane. For just frame of reference, Stella Nova, Terra Luna, right next to each other. It's probably what I'd say like a 5 to 10 minute bus ride. 10, 5. What would you say?
I'd say like 5 to 10 minutes.
5 to 10 minutes. And the buses came, I mean, granted, again, we were here for a media event. Buses were almost always readily available for you to go back and forth if you wanted to go to the park. Just, you know.
People have been able to walk to Epic Universe
That's
from
bananas.
those two in like 15 minutes or so.
Really?
Yeah. I think a couple content creators out there have timed it. I think it's around like 14 or 15 minutes.
That's impressive. And
I don't know if I'm being too... I don't know if that's too optimistic, but I thought it was around 14.
So that's
or
like
15 minutes.
like 5 minutes more of a walk than, say, Boardwalk to the World Showcase Gateway of Epcot.
Yeah. For all I know, they're speed walking, but
and then also if you're looking for a value hotel that will be near Epic, something I was scoping out as we were driving back and forth. It seems like Endless Summer.
Oh man,
pretty close to Epic Universe, and also maybe even like a somewhat midpoint between Universal Orlando and Islands, and then now Epic.
I've stayed once at Endless Summer. I'm a big fan, actually.
Yeah,
I think it's at a really good like price point. You get it like in the 100s. I think that's also what's great about Stella Nova, Terra Luna. But Endless Summer, if you have like a group of people, they have their rooms designed where there's like a separate like main bedroom.
It's
like,
nice.
So like for like families, like it's great because the parents get their own spot. The kids have their own beds on the outside. So I think you have like a total of 3 beds, and you have like a little kitchenette that's like not like an oven and stuff.
And I believe
have,
it's
like,
the
a
same
little
price
sink
point as Stella and Terra.
It's in that same ballpark.
So
those hotels have a lot of rooms because
there's options. I guess is what I'm getting for all you folks that are looking to plan your epic trips. It's enough of the hotels. Let's move on to Isle of Berk.
Yep. So this was the next morning, bright and early. We check in at the big tents there that they bus us to backstage.
Yes.
We got to once again we had to restrain ourselves from filming all the incredible forced perspective stuff at work with some of the worlds because we were going through backstage areas.
We saw some crazy backstage stuff. Like we saw, I think we could say this. We saw like the back side of the Harry Potter land.
Yeah.
And so we saw how they achieved some of the scale. Some of those facades are literally on giant stilts. Mm-hmm. And that's how they make them look so tall, which is so cool to see. I took a picture. Well, no, I didn't take a picture of it. And if I did, you'll never see it.
Yeah, we burned the evidence.
I smashed my phone with a hammer. But no, Isle of Berk was the first first world that we were dropped into.
And before we were dropped in, this was the interesting thing is because these were all like, there's a grand opening ceremony in its own way that before we entered every portal, they did like a big, like a big opening ceremony in itself, like dedicated to that world. Once all the media kind of like got the gist of it and realized, they're going to do this for every portal, it became much harder to get a decent view.
Yes. You got some pretty cool footage of all the Vikings walking into like the fog of the portal, though. I saw your camera and I was like,
okay,
wow.
Good, because I couldn't see it. I was just kind of like, because
Byron had the gimbal, and
I was just raising my arm up. So
yeah, you were like someone raising a paddle at an auction. But it was awesome. We actually also entered through the back entrance of Epic Universe, which isn't a public entrance, but it's where they dropped us off from the media center, which is right where Stardust Racers is. Or Starfall?
Stardust, right. Originally
Starfall until that place in Orlando tried to file a suit against them.
I didn't even know about that.
Did you not know about that?
Yeah, because I was thinking like, I actually think like Starfall is like a really cool name.
Well, it was. I mean, I've been following Alicia Stella videos from the very beginning, and it was Starfall for so long, so I just got used to saying Starfall. And then some sort of, I think it's like a learning center was called Starfall, and they sued Universal, and Universal was like, all right, we'll change it to Stardust then. Problem solved.
Still works.
But anyways, the entrance to they let us in through there, and then we walked over to Isle of Berk and saw a pretty cool opening ceremony.
This is Berk, the best kept secret this side of, well, almost anywhere.
This day, I mean, both days were ungodly hot, but luckily the morning ones weren't.
This was early.
weren't as bad.
Waiting for that ceremony for Isle of Berk to start was a lot more enjoyable than the one at 1 p.m. for Nintendo World.
It makes me now realize, because I heard a lot of media people be like, why are they having us do this all so early? And now I'm starting to realize it's probably because they knew it was going to be hotter than hell.
Maybe.
I mean, they tried everything they could. There was so much water. Like when we were in backstage, like there was pallets and pallets of just water. And they were just handing them out like it was their life depended on it, and ours did because we needed that water. But yeah, they released us into Isle of Berk at the entryway to every one of these portals worlds. Were Universal creatives that we were able to interview. I didn't see a lot of creators interviewing them, other than Mammoth Club. Shout out to Mammoth Club. They
got some really good interviews.
They already released their video. I know this might be strange, but go check that out if you want to see that. Their coverage of the event. They got some great interviews. We got some too. Our questions were a little sillier. You'll see.
We just had to stay on brand.
You'll see in our vlog.
I realized that every time we'd approach the media tent or the media area for these interviews, they kind of like go ask people like, can we take these guys? Like,
because we walked up with backwards hats and shorts, and everyone, I don't know. I just feel like there is an aura of professionalism to everyone else that was there that we don't have, and I don't know how you achieve that or purchase that. I don't think you can. I think we just are what we are. Anyways. Lucky enough to interview some of these folks that have made these amazing worlds come to life. And I believe for this world, we talked to somebody who was really big into most of the creation of the land in general. But if you want to see our interviews with all the creatives, go check out our vlog whenever it's up or if it's up already. Either way, let's get into. We're not here to talk to evaluate the media event as much as we are the park. So when we first went through Isle of Berk, blown away by the scale, the immersion.
Again, yeah.
What did you feel second time around?
Well,
now that you knew what to expect,
it immediately occurred to me that, we have free roam now, which is amazing in itself because like as much as I like some people I know, and it's usually not as much the theme park sickos, but like a casual fan that happens to go on some sort of like VIP tour.
Yeah.
They'll usually return from that day and be like, Byron, I can never go to a theme park the same, like ever again. Like now that I had the VIP tour, like I can never enjoy a regular theme park day. I'm not one of those people.
No, neither am I.
Oftentimes I really appreciate the VIP tour, but I love gaming the day. And I love having free roam, and it kind of experience like in this case, like we're not experiencing it like a regular park.
No,
because once again, there were no lines.
Again, yeah, and then also sometimes you miss queue elements or land details. And I know this is obviously like it's easy to be like from our position of like having the VIP tour and then having the normal guest experience. It's easy for us to be like, I really do prefer the guest experience. I realize we're not tone deaf in that sense. Like we realize there's a privilege to being able to go on those VIP tours, but going to theme parks our whole life, we're used to just, gaming the day and making, going as we please, taking time to look at banisters and the underside of them and things like that. Like I remember there was one moment in our other vlog from the first time where Byron, you like literally were feeling, you felt a banister with your hand. You're like, that's real. And that stuff. I love that kind of stuff. And often we got separated from our tour group because we were just gawking at all the details. So for this to be just free reign, it did feel like a more fair total evaluation of the land, but even still being prepared for the scale, that reveal walking through the portal and seeing Berk as you look over that giant stone tablet is still so breathtaking.
Yep. It was like, I guess, on that big tablet, it's like lines from, I believe it's the second film. I think that's what the director of it said.
I believe
so. But yeah, just it's gorgeous. You just got just layers upon layers, like just the light blue water.
I know
the big rock work in the back. It's
Hiccups is such a great source of kinetic energy for the land, and being on Hiccups and getting kind of like that super fun view of the entire world is so fun. And also like the weenie of the world. It's actually the food hall.
Yeah.
It's like
Right?
It's the giant food hall where like if you look at the top of it, there's like a little structure on there, and I'm not too familiar with the films, but I know it's probably somebody's home, but it looks massive because that little structure up top, a little perspective wizardry here. I think that structure is like 4 feet tall or something.
I think they said 3 or 4 feet tall.
It's like a little tiny house, but it sells. It just looks, again, sight lines, just details, all thought through exhaustively here. I even saw like in the Mammoth Club video when they interviewed one of the Universal creatives, like just seeing all the names of the Universal creatives hidden in the gift shop. Like one of them was Katie's Cookies, which was really cool. And this time able to take in a little bit more of the characters that were walking around. Everyone's going to look at Toothless. That line's going to be crazy, by the way.
I will also say that unlike most media and content creators who like really delved into reviewing a lot of the food and merchandise, we still kind of emphasized attractions.
Yeah, that is a blind spot for us if you want to look at it that way. Like we did try. Byron, why don't you tell everybody what the first food item was that we tried in Isle of Berk?
Yes, and I will preface that with
it needs a preface. That's fair.
Okay, so hear me out.
Okay.
For all of these like free roaming world experiences that we were lucky enough to have during this opening week at Epic.
Yeah.
All the food was complimentary.
Yeah, you could get whatever you want food wise, like any snack, like the mac and cheese cones that everyone's I'm gramming over in Isle of Berk.
You want a soda, you want water,
you want a beef bowl.
Yeah, you want that Donkey Kong banana shake thingy.
Yeah,
it's on the house.
It's on the house.
There is an exception because alcohol is not part of that. However, I feel like the majority of the things that we got at Epic Universe, we had to pay for because it was alcohol.
I mean, look, I wanted to sample the brews of Berk.
And we did. I don't know if they were quite ready for us because we basically rope dropped the beer.
We were doing the Lord's work is what we were doing. And you know what's funny about that? Is I was drinking that beer and I was like, I'm technically working right now because I'm going to talk about this beer later and how it tasted and whatnot. And now that I'm sitting here in front of the microphone and I'm about to talk about it, if there was a gun to my head right now, I could not tell you what the name of the beer was, nor could I tell you what it tasted like.
I know it was a Danish beer.
Was it?
It was in a big green can. It was a Danish beer.
You remember I don't even remember what the can looked like.
I remember what the can looked like. We could review the tape, but I believe it was a big green can. It was a Danish beer.
We got our Pilsners here. We just got to find a nice scenic place to enjoy the night. Is it 9 a.m. now?
No, it's noon in LA. They had to. They were so unprepared for somebody. First off, okay, this is going to come off bad. I mean, there's really no other way to get around it. It was really hot, and it was like what I want to say 8:30.
It was like I think 8:30 in the morning.
And it felt like it was 1 p.m. in SoCal. Like it was so hot already. And it was just like, wow, look at the sun beaming off this water. You know what sounds great right now? A beer. And also, you got to keep in mind, we're running on almost no sleep. So, like, morning, night, afternoon, we don't even know what time it is anymore. So we were just like, a beer sounds nice.
You know what's really sad about that is I told you, oh, it's okay, man. It's like 11:30 a.m. Pacific time.
I know. And
then, like, halfway through our beer, we're like, I think someone corrected, like, no, it's not. It's like 5:30 a.m.
Yeah, you incepted me because you said that, and I, even to take the dumb baton and run further with it, I walked up to, I forget who it was one of our colleagues walking around, and they were like, beer, huh? And I was like, hey, it's 12 p.m. in LA, so, and they were like, no, it's 6 a.m. in LA. no, it's like, because it was like 9 a.m. and they were like, and I was like, so not only that, now I look like an alcoholic and a dumbass at the same time. as the Lord intended it.
And like they were like opening up that cashier or something like that.
No,
us,
they
right?
weren't prepared to sell alcohol yet, because we walked up and was like, "I'll take a beer, please." And they're like, "Oh, that actually you have to pay for that." And then we were like, looked at each other for a second. We were like, "That's okay." And then they were like, "Oh," and then they had this moment of pause because I think they thought that would deter us and be like, "Oh, we can't get it for free, then we don't want it." But when we were like, "Cool, fire it up," they were like, "Oh, okay, you're just gonna have to wait a second though, because we have to kind of fire up our point of service thing here that they're on their machine on their
Oh, that's
cash
right,
register."
because they actually had to take like a payment.
They had to, so they had to like scan a couple like barcodes on like a laminated sheet to like make sure that like the cash register was fired up, and then they were like, "Here you go," and then so we basically did rope drop beers. To be fair though, there were people behind us who once they saw us grabbing beers, they purchased beers as well.
Influenced,
baby. That's right. And they were like, "I like these guys' style. What's it say on the back of their shirt? For your amusement podcast?" Gonna listen to that. And then they could hear us review this beer, which we were like, "I think the can was green."
yeah.
That's the rich detail you're getting here when it comes to food and beverage analysis.
Most sensible people, most sensible media members were trying out that coveted macaroni and cheese cone.
Dude, that sounded horrendous in the heat. I'm not gonna lie. That's the main reason why I didn't get it. Molly came up to me at one point. She was like, "You got to try the beef bowl. There's like a beef bowl over there." And I was like, "Are you out of your fucking mind? It's like, it's 1,000,000 degrees. The last thing I want right now is hot rice and meat. Give me another beer, dude."
And then we went on fire drill.
Oh boy. Okay, let's go attraction by attraction.
I don't remember the exact order of the attractions
we did. Hiccups first.
We got multiple rides.
We did like basically almost like a sunrise Hiccups ride. Not sunrise, but you get what I'm saying. Early morning Hiccups ride, get the blood moving. What were your thoughts on Hiccups versus the first time?
It's pretty much the same. It was like this goes with a lot of the attractions.
Interesting. I had different thoughts.
No, well, I had a very positive experience every single time I've been on Hiccups. It's just delightful.
No, I think if this was a fine wine test, if we want to go to the rubric, this would, pass with flying colors just based off
100%.
First ride to second ride. It got better every single time I rode it. And I think it's really one of the unsung heroes of the park.
It really is.
At large.
All ages are going to be...
We mentioned it in the last review. This is the ultimate gateway coaster. It's the ultimate starter coaster for any kid. Not only because it's in a, I guess, more kid-centric land in world, Isle of Berk, but the fact that it has moderate thrill, but not enough thrill to scare young children, but it introduces kids to launching. There's launches in this coaster, and which, by the way, are we going to do spoilers for this one?
At this point, I guess we can.
Fuck it, right?
Yeah.
This is your warning if you don't want spoilers. We haven't spoiled anything thus far yet, so we're going to be talking spoilers. Yeah, the launches of this coaster are super fun. They have a swing launch in this coaster.
Got a little swing launch. You go a little backwards for a bit, and they launch you forward. They launch you on inclines, which is great.
And even hearing you say that, it's odd to be like, "Oh, I think a kid could get on this." But once you get on it, they've somehow found like this strange middle ground where it is thrilling enough for you and I, especially you as a coaster head, but then I feel confident it wouldn't scare any of my nephews.
Yeah. I just think the whimsy of it all just kind of adds an extra layer of, I don't want to say thrill, but just enjoyment.
And the story of this ride, if you didn't know, is basically Hiccup is making these wing gliders so that you can learn to fly like dragons, and it's like flying practice. And Toothless, the main dragon from How to Train Your Dragon, not a fan of this.
He's a little get off my lawn about the whole situation.
He's pretty Gran Torino about the whole thing, and he's like, only dragons should fly. So the ride starts with you basically being in this little station where you are assembling the wing glider, and you see these like animatronic arms bring down wings to attach to your ride vehicle, your train.
And they show Hiccup's plans throughout the entirety of this queue.
They do.
What was great about this trip overall this time was we actually got to walk through the queue.
Which is awesome.
So even when there was no lines, you kind of got to spend some time looking at all the stuff.
We spent a lot of time moving to the side so people could pass us because we were just like, I got to read everything on this board.
And so a lot of the queue has all these pieces of Hiccup's work and all the planning he's doing for these wing gliders.
It's very extensive drawings that look like children's drawings, but I guess conceivably they were drawn by Hiccup, and I was like, dude, this looks like my nephew made these drawings. But anyways, the ride starts with you getting your wing glider assembled, or about to, because the wings are about to be attached, and Toothless is for some reason the person in charge of launching your ride vehicle, your wing glider, once it's all assembled, so that you could then fly. But Toothless is angry about this. So as the wings are about to be attached, he goes, nah. And he just says, I'm going to launch you right now.
Yeah, he slams his foot down. The boulders drop. I guess the weight of the boulders coming down propels
the fulcrum releases you, yeah.
And then off you go, like presumably, falling to your death.
I know. That was one thing. We got off the ride for the first time. I was so enamored by the animatronics and the whimsy of the world the first couple rides last time we were here that it never clocked for me that, oh damn, dude, Toothless is low-key murderous. Like, this is a ride in which Toothless, out of spite, tries to kill you essentially, because you launch a train without wings. That's not going to end well. And the funniest part about it is when he launches your coaster, he has this devilish little smile on his face.
He's so cute.
He's so cute. I mean, it's the last thing you're going to see on Earth, I guess, is this dragon smiling at you as he launches you to your doom. But the first time we got on this ride, I was just struck by that. Because, I'm going to be honest, the first time I got on, I barely even noticed that they were attaching wings to the coaster. They were trying to. That's what Hiccup was trying to do.
Yeah, that's true. I picked up on it a lot more these times.
After that first ride, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing that this dragon is just I'm going to kill these people. And then you blast off into some, I don't know what the official coaster terminology is, but you blast off into these nice little curvies.
Yeah, just fun bank turns.
Curvy banks.
Yeah.
It's a straight line, though, but you're curving back and forth. It's fun. And then you're going over the water. There's water elements splashing all around you. And then you get into the area where you go into a perilous situation where these eggs are about to explode, and you stop there.
You think you're going to get past them, but then you kind of roll backwards and go back into it. Yeah. A little show scene happens. They all hatch, and then you're like, oh, fuck, got to get out of here. And then another launch happens.
It's awesome.
Up an incline.
It's just a really fun, satisfying ride, both from the level of thrill, the launches, but also really fun theming and storyline.
And you get the score.
And you get the beautiful How to Train Your Dragon score. And it's the track. I forget the name of
it's from Test Drive.
I think it's called something like that.
The one that everyone has been posting on their Instagram with every Epic Universe reel.
It's really good. We got on that ride, I want to say 2 or 3 times in a row because we were like, why not?
Yeah, it's very rideable.
People I saw were waiting in the Toothless meet and greet for 45 minutes. Wasn't about to do that.
We were been there, done that a month ago.
But, I think that's worth it if you haven't done it.
100%. It is, once again, I think we brought this up in our initial Epic Universe review. I've never felt so much excitement in a meet and greet.
It's the best meet and greet in the world.
Since I was maybe a little kid meeting Mickey Mouse or something like that.
You know what's actually funny is I don't know if you've been watching videos of the Megatron meet and greets.
Those are hilarious.
They're amazing.
When he just trashes people on whatever sports team they represent
or whatever they're wearing. He just sitting there trashing people. And so people get angry, which is really funny. And I'm praying nobody complains so that it doesn't get taken away from us because it's so funny. There's an Instagram profile dedicated to just Megatron dissing people. Whoever came up with that, genius. That's probably my second favorite meet and greet in the world right now. But the Toothless one is really good. And then after that, we got on Dragon Challenge.
Oh, Dragons Racers Rally, right?
Yeah, Dragon Challenge being the one in Islands of Adventure back in the day, but Dragon Racers Rally, which is the spinner in the sky, the flat ride.
It's a flat ride. You know what? I got a flip this time. I didn't get it the first trip we went, so I got an inversion.
Yeah.
It wasn't the most graceful go. Like I followed the tips better, but like when I was able to finally like flip upside down, I kind of just hung upside down like a bat for like 5 seconds, and like it dove toward the ground, and I was like legitimately like scared, like as if I was on like some sort of X2 thrill ride or whatever. I'm like, is this supposed to be happening? I'm just hanging upside down.
Yeah,
it
it's
like I'm
very
gonna
fun.
Scrape my face on the concrete.
Yeah, fucking bat mode activated. It's
and
awesome.
I eventually finished the rotation, but I think I'm conflicted on this ride because I know this was one of those attractions that you were not excited about.
Oh no, I
us
love it
going.
now.
And it's like I do feel like I wish the ride was a bit longer.
Yes.
However, it is not, since there's a gaming element to it. I think it becomes really fun.
No, it's basically like I think I said this in the last review. It's like a physics challenge IRL, and you get to just kind of try and figure out the way to and even in the queue. Now that we got to go through the queue, there's a bunch of signs that are giving you tips on how to flip yourself, because these seats are kind of on swivels. They're like you could swivel so that you could actually fully flip in these seats. But in order to do so, as the ride vehicle's moving around, you have to kind of use your momentum and your weight and shift it in a certain way. There's a trick to it, obviously, because we went on this later in the trip with Alan from Mammoth Club.
Just a masterful performance.
It was a whirling dervish.
He got 14 inversions.
What's funny is like that was also when we went on there, because when we went this first time on day one of the media event, you got your inversion. I tried so hard and I got close a couple times. It just didn't happen for me. But the later in the week when we went on again for the grand opening ceremony, I got my one inversion and I got on with Alan, and I was so stoked. I was like so stoked after, and I was like, I finally got a flip. How many did you get, Alan? He was like, I did 14. And I was like, fucking bullshit. You didn't get 14.
The ride operator though was like congratulating it, like, because apparently they had the ride go a little bit longer. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Amazing.
But supposedly they could get the ride to go a little longer if someone's just fucking working it.
Dude, he was going nuts up there. And then we saw video from Molly later and Tyler Pugh, who was on the ground. He was the ground crew. And the footage of Alan flipping in this is so fucking
just
funny.
Perpetual spinning. I think if you're able to get the momentum going and hold it,
He is just nonstop spinning. It reminded me so much of that video of that lady being rescued from the canyon from the helicopter when she's in that like weird sarcophagus that's like hanging from the rope in the bottom of the
rope has
helicopter.
to unwind itself,
And the rope is unwinding itself and she's spinning forever. That's what Alan looked like up there. And I was laughing so hard looking at that video. But again, Isle of Berk has these kind of rides that encourage participation, and they encourage you to interact with strangers, essentially.
Yeah.
Because everybody getting off of this ride is laughing and going like, oh, I almost got it, or how'd you do that? And like, or high-fiving each other. And I just love that they were able to maximize the smaller footprint of some of these, flat rides, smaller rides, and still make them kind of punch above their weight. And I think with that, going over to Fire Drill, which it honestly might be my favorite ride in the entire in the entire Isle of Berk world.
I don't think there's many, if any, attractions I think that brought you more joy at this point. Maybe Monsters Unchained, but
Monsters Unchained, obviously, but Fire Drill.
Fire Drill was like your bread and butter.
That
ride was made for you.
That's what Maury said when my wife. That's what my wife said to me after we got off Cat in the Hat. Very similar gremlin, like just goblin energy, built for me. Fire Drill, I think, was intended to more or less be like, you a shooter. You shoot at targets. If you hit the blue ones, you get punished. And some element will spray you. If you hit the red ones, you get some sort of score. I didn't care about any of that. My entire objective, because they did also design it, I think, as like a side thing that you could shoot other boats and have like this kind of like sea spectacular war.
That's not exactly what they lead with.
No, they definitely aren't leading with soak the other boats.
No. So the tip here is, if you're waiting a long time for Fire Drill and you got one go at this ride, get your money's worth. Don't get distracted by the targets. Just find every opportunity as you can, like every opportunity that you can to just pivot your gun towards whatever boat you have the best angle at.
It is so funny. It's so funny. First off, and for those of you being like, that's so just sadistic, Ryan, to be soaking these other poor people. You're getting on a boat attraction called Fire Drill where the objective is to get wet. You signed a contract, in my opinion, when you get on that ride. You're allowing me to douse you. And I figured out that once you go on this ride, there's you go through a little straight and then you make a curve. And once you round that first curve,
you start kind of working your way back toward the station.
You could see the loading station. And what I figured out is there's a sweet spot right after you round that curve where you could point your gun at the loading station and literally just destroy people as they're just dispatching. And there's nothing they could do about it.
And their guns aren't activated yet, they just have to take it.
You know, like when you go on Buzz Lightyear and the gun turns off after you get to the end, or when you're in the beginning, it's like you can't shoot. They can't shoot their water cannons in that moment, but they are perfectly vulnerable to my water cannon. And there's a video of it in the vlog. I'm sure we could cut a clip in it.
We could probably cut it in.
Byron captured the moment when I discovered this loophole, and when I fired my cannon and was able to successfully hit that group of people, the joy and just pure evil laughter that emanated
from
my vessel was so fun. It made me laugh so hard.
Oh, let's get this guy. Yeah. Is there another guy? Oh wait, can we get them? Oh my gosh. Let's see if we can get them. Yes, come on. Yeah. Amazing. It's incredible.
And I remember after I got off the ride, I was excited to tell people the story, and I was just looking at their faces, and they were like, "You're sadistic." Like, even now, there's probably people watching this podcast being like, "That's fucked up," and I think it's hilarious. But again, you're getting on Fire Drill. Like, you're gonna get wet either way. Why not have a little fun and let's blast each other? And I want them to blast me. And so
we rode it again.
We rode it 2 times in a row.
The second time, we did separate boats.
No, we rode it 3 times in a row.
Oh my God.
We rode the second time to just try and get more people, and there wasn't any shocker. Nobody from the media event was getting on this ride. It was like most of the time it was literally just Byron and I on this boat, and then maybe one other boat out on this little mini bay. So we were like, you know what? For this third time, because there's no other people getting on this ride, why don't we each get in separate boats, and that way we could squirt each other? Huh? That's a big brain move. And I thought, okay, in order for the angles to be correct, because the course is like a zigzaggy kind of circle. And I thought that because of that, if we were to go on one boat after another, like his boat right behind mine or my boat right behind his, we wouldn't have the angles to shoot each other. That was what I thought.
Turns out that totally works too.
No, that's actually what you want to do.
Yeah.
If you want to squirt your friends, make sure you're just in one boat after another. So what we did, because we didn't know that, is I went on a boat and we purposefully left a boat empty between us. And then Byron got on the third boat that dispatched. So there was an empty boat in between us.
I think I was the first one.
Oh, you were the first one and I was the third one. Or so we thought it was going to be empty. Because as we did that, a group of people from media did decide to get on. And in that group was our friend Hope, who we had met at the first media event. And she was with, I think, 2 or 3 other people. She was with her little sister that she had brought.
What's extra sad about this is they actually had just done the ride, and then they saw us getting into the separate boats, and they decided to stay in their boat. In between our boats. And they're like, "Oh, we'll just run it again. Our friends are doing this."
Yeah, because they saw Byron and I getting on, and they were like, "Could we just stay and ride with them?" And I was like, "Whatever. You guys are in the boat in between us. We don't have angles to hit you anyway. Byron and I just want to squirt each other." And so, ride goes, and that's when we discover that actually you're perfectly primed to hit the boat that's right behind you or in front of you, and not so much the one that's like the next one over. And so when we were trying to hit each other, we found that our water cannons were just intersecting on Hope's boat.
And then we just unleashed hellfire on that boat.
To be fair, they saw what we were doing, and then they started to fire, I think at you or me. I can't remember who it was. They fired at one of us.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Byron and I are out to kill each other, but once you try and kill one of us, we are now bonded, and you are now our enemy. And so we then figured out in that moment, oh, if that's how you want to play this, you're perfectly in line with both of our cannons.
It was like we were living out like the climactic scene of At World's End, Pirates of the Caribbean. Where like the Flying Dutchman like reemerges and they have the East India Company wedged in between, and they're hitting the cannons from both sides.
Yeah.
That was pretty much how I felt.
Hope
when they had them in the crossfire.
She got caught in at first an accidental crossfire that turned into an intentional crossfire. To be fair, she shot first, much like Greedo did in Star Wars.
Totally.
But and once she figured out there was nothing she could really do about it, she was just like, "You guys, this is ridiculous."
And they didn't have the angle either. And we are like, well, that was the other thing. We each had our own boat, so we could hop from whatever gun.
Which you're not supposed to do, by the way.
Yeah, we learned
you're not
pretty
supposed to do
quickly that when I started jumping around the boat, when we came back, like, yeah, you can't be jumping from.
Apparently, I mean, it's to be fair, it looked like it was situated to do that, but I guess not everyone gets on this ride to soak other people.
I don't know. I don't think they designed the ride in mind with that people would have their entire own boats, especially right now with the park being open, and this is often an hour-long wait.
Yeah, it's people. I mean, it's like a sea battle, which is super funny, and so they were hopping to cannons as well. And like she had galvanized her entire boat because there was like 4 people on her boat to try and squirt us, and then all these people got soaked because she had kind of enlisted them in a war they didn't sign up for. And so like after the ride, I mean, she was drenched. And we were barely even a little wet, and I kind of wanted to get wet, which is funny. But then after, we felt bad.
You got me for a good amount toward the end.
I got you pretty good
because that was like when I was pulling into the station at the end, my gun was
turned off.
Yeah, turned off, and then you had the angle.
I had the angle on you. She got me a little bit. She got me right in the back. But even still, after we did feel bad because she was so wet, like unbelievably wet, and so we bought her a drink and apologized.
Yeah,
but she was like, "I love it." Eventually, she was like, "No, it was fun." But again, that is one of now several interactions I've had with Hope, our friend, but also strangers. Otherwise, that I would have never talked to these other groups of people or families had that experience not happened because we were just laughing. It's a funny experience. I'm sure if we had squirted people who weren't as stoked about it, maybe they get upset, but
I think it would be even funnier.
now you're sadistic. That pretty much squares off Isle of Berk, right?
Yeah. And they got the mead. Well, I don't know if it's called the mead hall, but they serve mead.
They do serve mead in the mead hall.
We didn't try it.
There's a little bar at the back of the mead hall it's cool. It looks good. We didn't try any of the beer there.
We did not do the Untrainable Dragon. We didn't do that show.
Because we had just seen
done it the first time, and
we wanted to just loop rides instead.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then we had lunch over at the Atlantic.
Yeah. That's in Celestial Park. It's located near the Constellation Carousel.
That's right. That was fine.
It's one of their big, like, I don't want to say if dining locations could get deemed like an e-ticket.
Yes, I would say it would be an e-ticket.
Yeah.
The thing about it though is we weren't able to order off the menu. It was more because it was a media event. It was like kind of like catered. Like it was like some items that are conceivably on the menu are on the menu, but they're like the catered version of them, like in like like the bins you would get like a bacon from at like a continental breakfast.
It's like banquet setup.
You
can't just open your doors and be like, all right, we could seat 500 units and give them the proper table service.
No,
that's
exactly.
not going to happen.
So they had to do that. So the food, I don't know if that was a fair shake of it because it tasted like, catering
it was fine.
Food.
It was good. It was fine. But it's like at the end of the day, like if you're familiar with just any regular banquet food,
It's like that. It's like food at a wedding.
Yeah.
But we did have cocktails from the bartender that were awesome.
The drinks were very good.
We got one drink that I think it was called like Fountain of the Youth or something like that, and it was like a gin but also absinthe drink. That was fantastic. That was actually the drink we bought for Hope. And then I got an espresso Manhattan.
That was it. Yeah.
It's like their take on like an espresso martini, but it's made with whiskey, and that was so goddamn good and refreshing. And then we also had lunch with Peter and Kitcher from Ordinary Adventures.
That's right.
And then from there,
and also the views at Atlantic.
oh my God, speaking of giant windows.
Yeah.
Dude, the amount of money they've spent at this park on just glass and windows alone is probably astronomical. But yes, at this point now we're really getting into scorching territory. I mean, it was unfathomably hot. Like
yes.
I don't like, because even for the Super Nintendo World portal opening kind of like ceremony like that they did in front of the portal, it became very apparent to me, because like, you know, when you have to walk to these different portals, you're walking through Celestial Park, which is awesome because of all the, you know, the food and beverage opportunities, but no shade.
Those trees got a few more years, I say.
Oh, optimistically, yes, they would have. I mean, realistically, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do for the shade in this.
They might have to find some sort of temporary solution
because you are just getting cooked.
Yeah,
like absolutely cooked.
I could confidently say there's going to be a day where a lot of those trees are going to provide a bunch of shade. That's not anytime soon, and I think they're going to have to maybe rethink some things and put some like temporary, I don't know, like some sort of shades or umbrellas up.
Well, think about Main
something.
Street for a second. The trees and shade there make it hospitable, but then when you take the trees out, you get the Magic Kingdom Main Street, which, you know, if you look at that hub in the main Magic Kingdom, pretty barren in terms of just concrete, and you just get cooked. And I hope that they're not just going to lean into that being the norm, because it's, you know, Disney's doing it. So, and that's another thing. People are complaining about the lack of shade, but again, Magic Kingdom is like a shadeless park for the most part as well, and no one talks about that. So, and
true.
I will say I have bias because I don't think Magic Kingdom is that great of a park. There it is.
You've never stated that ever.
Oh,
on
yeah.
this show.
But look, you can't deny that place has no shade as well. It's the same thing.
It does lack. It lacks some shade.
The only reason why
That's
Epic
true.
is more obvious is because Celestial Park is huge and there's more to do, like
Yeah.
in terms of food and beverage, at least. It's just more expansive, and you're it's just large stretches of pavement, of sidewalk, where you're just
There's if you're
absolutely
walking
railed
to
by
one of
the
the like
sun.
the far away portals, or
Oh
if
my God.
you have to go all the way across to get back to like Helios or something, you feel like a quarterback out of the pocket. You're just like, oh crap.
Yeah, dude. Even some of like the Universal like team members were just like, something we like to do when we walk across Celestial is walk by the fountains because you get sprayed a little bit by the mist. And I was like, if that's your solution for the shade, you need a different solution.
It was crazy watching like a lot of these big like news teams and stuff that were like, set up with
Oh
all their
my God.
gear, just cooking out there all
That
day.
was another thing too. So there's the portal opening, and then towards the back of like, you know, if you're looking at the portal, there's like a crowd of people looking at the entrance of the portal, and then at the back of that crowd, there was this kind of like platform, this raised like maybe 4 or 5 feet up platform that was draped in a like a black kind of like a black carpet, black tablecloth.
You know, a real sun deterrent.
I know that all of the media with tripods and whatnot were set up on top of so they could get clear views of the ceremony, but they were just cooking. But then I figured out in day 2 that I could basically use the shade provided by all the tripods, and Media Mountain is what I was starting to call it. And I could just sit there and makeshift shade provided by other humans. And so I did that towards for the opening of Dark Universe the next day I learned. But yeah, that Super Nintendo opening was the time when you started to hear people be like, this is miserable.
Prior to that, and of course, this is the thing, is like we kind of lucked out and got decent viewing before How to Train Your Dragon or Isle of Berk, because no one knew that they were going to do these setups in front of the portals. Once everyone realized, oh, that's going to happen, like people were waiting out of Nintendo World like well in advance.
Yeah.
We decided we want to do our media due diligence, you know.
Yeah.
And we went to we did a quick trip over to Stardust Racers to get some a couple interview questions there.
Yeah.
So by the time we made it back to actually is that a weird to bring up the whatever, we'll have it in the vlog. I asked a really nerdy question over at Stardust Racers.
Yeah.
But anyways, we made our way back to Nintendo World, and that was the first time I remember thinking, yeah, it is pretty damn hot.
Yeah, kind of hot in these rhinos.
And there's nothing there. Everyone was sizzling.
It was. You were just hearing the chatter of people being like, I don't know, I'm about to die. And it was so hot.
And the music is looping, and collectively everyone's like, every time like the music would kind of like fade out, you think like, oh, it's like is the presentation starting? And then it would just kind of like loop back,
and it would just be like, bip, 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 bip.
And just internal groans.
Meanwhile, you're just like getting hard boiled. But eventually, presentation's awesome. Big confetti cannon. And then we go into, speaking of cooking, Super Nintendo World. Much like the one in Universal Studios Hollywood. Not a lot of shade going on here. And the way it's laid out, it's like a heat funnel, essentially. Because it's 2 stories, but it's just like a perimeter, and it just all kind of like leads to this like cone shape where everyone's just kind of at the bottom getting cooked. I have swamp ass right now that would make Shrek blush. We didn't get on Yoshi's Adventure this time because that is just you're just on a conveyor belt for the sun.
You're like on one of those like pizza stores where they kind of like slowly kind of send you through, or like a Carl's Jr. burger,
or just it felt like I was like a hot dog just slowly rotating on like a 7-Eleven. But we didn't get on that. It was delightful the first time we got on it when it wasn't 1,000,000 degrees. But we did get on Minecart Madness a couple times. Oh no, did we get on the 2 times?
We just got it on it once.
Once, yeah.
The first media event we went to in early April, and then for this one we got it. Well, yeah, we got on it again. We didn't have to wait nearly as long this time.
No, this time it was like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, we got on right away.
But we waited in the standby queue for it last time because we left our VIP tour to yeah. But this was, I mean, what are your thoughts on Minecart Madness? I'm curious.
Look, it's a herky jerk. I think I enjoyed it a little more the first time because this time I took I had like the gimbal and stuff, and I had it in my bag. I didn't have the gimbal out, by the way. I wasn't filming on the rides, but I put that my little day bag like at my feet, and the herky jerk nature of this ride had that thing
just slamming
flying around. It got like wedged in between like where like the bars of the restraint like meet the floor where your feet are.
I remember that.
So I spent the whole ride, I think I was like trying to tell him like, dude, like my bag is stuck. Like it got like wedged in like where the restraints were. And I was spending the entire ride trying to get my bag free.
Yeah.
So I didn't enjoy it as much this time. Like I would suggest that if you have like a day bag or something, maybe go like put it in a locker or something. Don't rest it at your feet, because for whatever reason this ride like jerks you around, and that bag was just flying around and causing unnecessary stress.
The ride is super fun to look at both on and off, especially off, because you get the full force of like the illusion of it jumping track.
Yeah, and it wraps around that whole area.
On the ride, the jumping track doesn't really sell that much for me. It doesn't feel like we're jumping track, maybe because I just know the system of how it's working, because there's the rail under the fake track, what you're seeing. I mean, from a theming perspective, cool animatronic in the line. There's some hidden effects in the queue. The queue's not amazing, but I mean, the land, Donkey Kong Country, is awesome.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lands, period, to look at that I've seen. Not just in Epic, but ever. I just love Donkey Kong. And then the theming of the ride, there's animatronics throughout this ride, which is really fun.
It's a lot more involved than I thought it would be.
No, and then there's some indoor portions that are really fun. The coaster, though, itself, I'm thinking because it's riding on a single rail where your ride vehicle is attached to like an arm that goes under the fake track and kind of is like moving you along the single rail. And I think that has to be why on turns and certain movements, you just get rattled. You get like shook, like in a way that feels. I was reading online some people talking about it, and they were saying like, "Oh, that's purposeful. It's supposed to be like a goofy minecart ride where you're like rattling on the track and like jumping, and then like it's really But this is, I think, significantly more uncomfortable than even Matterhorn. In terms of
it's in that ballpark, and I'm wondering how this is going to age.
Oh, I know, because like I was actually thinking like, oh, people are going to get injured on this ride. I think, like their back or something like that. Just because like the herky jerk is so significant, I could see how you could make the argument that that's purposeful theming, but I don't think it's purposeful
either. Like this was like a hodgepodge of manufacturers, like built, I think, partially like in house.
Yes.
Really can't put my finger on who exactly made this, but I'm sure it kind of exchanged a bunch of hands because they were like, I don't know, like,
yeah,
it's a cool patent, and it's a cool idea. I just don't. I think they just kind of reached a point where like, hey, like we got to have this ready. And
yeah, I was hoping that Minecart, and I want to say I enjoyed my ride on it. I didn't really particularly enjoy the shaking, but otherwise I really did enjoy the theming of the ride and the parts that weren't shaking, and also seeing like animatronic Donkey Kong. Love seeing the big banana. Love that guy and his tie. But overall, I think it was a pleasant experience, but it's not the e-ticket experience I was hoping it would be. Because I remember when they announced Super Nintendo World, having a version of Super Nintendo World over in Universal Studios Hollywood, I knew that, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, not a true e-ticket either. So I was like, okay, that's fine, because in Epic Universe, they're going to have Minecart Madness, and that's the e-ticket this land always needed. And now, having been on it twice, it isn't. It's not that. It's not. It's like a really good D ticket, I would say.
Some could consider it an E. Maybe not an E for us.
No, it's definitely not an E, man.
I don't know. I think kids are gonna love it. Like, once again, like at the very least, like I still want to ride this again. There's a lot going for this ride. It's fairly uncomfortable.
What's a better ride, this or Matterhorn?
Man,
it's a pretty easy choice for me. I think Matterhorn clears it fairly easy.
I mean, the classic nature of Matterhorn kind of gets me in that
direction.
Just
the layout of Matterhorn, though, the two animatronics, it's not as extreme of a rattle, I would say. I don't know. It's really close. If there was a rattle off between this and
Matterhorn really beats your ass, man.
So does that minecart, though, dude.
But I feel like it's just like on a couple like moments.
And minecart's shorter.
It's those drop turns.
The drop turns.
That's like the moment you realize like this track was not designed to handle.
It was not. No. It felt a lot like when I was on Rocket Rods for the first and only time, where I was like, I don't think this was made for this, and it wasn't. And that made sense because they retrofitted the People Mover track. This, to me, I was like, oh, they just couldn't figure out the system completely, and they were just like, good enough. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Again, some people may like the rattle. I personally was turned off by it. Like, I think like there is tasteful versions of what people are saying this thing is doing. Like, for instance, Indiana Jones Adventure. The movement that you get, the herky-jerky nature of that's actually done by the EMV, the computer in the ride, making it feel like you're going over bumpy terrain. Like, to feel like.
Yes.
To feel like is different than to be. Like, if you actually were going over really bumpy terrain in Indiana Jones Adventure, you probably would be like, oh, this isn't comfortable. I think Minecart Madness is that. It's like, maybe they wanted to feel like it's a herky-jerky mine ride, but in fact, it's actually just a herky-jerky mine ride that not exactly pleasurable.
I don't think the jackhammering effect side to side on those turn drops was part of the playbook originally.
People are saying it is, though, and I think that might be some glazing, to be honest.
Maybe.
That being said, it is a still fun ride. I still think you should do it. I do like this ride. It's just not the e-ticket.
Soundtrack's really good. Animatronics. Once again, way more involved than I thought it would be.
Soundtrack's great.
Having a little show scenes, little surprises indoors.
Well, you and I were stoked on the lift hill, the first lift hill going up. I was like, this is so much fun. Just because the theming is so well done, and I forget the name of the girl, the little ponytail Donkey Kong, little ponytail monkey lady. I know a couple Donkey Kongs. I know like Cranky Kong. I know like Funky Kong. I know Diddy Kong. I know, of course, the big banana, Donkey Kong himself. Speaking of the big do you have anything else on this ride before we move on?
I think we're going to move on.
I'm trying to figure out a way to critique it while also still being like, and this is genuine. I'm not just trying to be like save face of being like, okay, I critique this ride. I got to say something good about it. It's a nuanced ride. There are things I like about it, and there's things I don't like about it. And I think it's a worthy addition. I just don't think it's the addition that world needs. I still now think that world needs a major tentpole attraction that is akin to, Monsters Unchained, Ministry of Magic, Stardust Racers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even Hiccups. Like, I just think this land, I'm not as excited to go into this world because there's not an e-ticket that I'm willing to wait an hour for in that entire world.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, I think. And that's why I think Zelda is coming.
No pressure, Zelda.
Zelda's coming, and I also think Luigi's Mansion is coming because it's next to Dark Universe. Conceivably, they could make some sort of link there. No pun intended with Link and Zelda. But I'd mentioned this in other pods before, I think. But I think I did this in FYI pod. But Epic Universe was built with expansion in mind. So each of these worlds has a parcel of land behind each of the worlds intended for expansion, which is really smart. And so much so that some of the expansion land could be even a completely new world altogether, like a Wicked or like a Lord of the Rings or I don't know.
It reminds me of the empty plots at World Showcase that they could still build in.
Yeah.
That's basically what they have for future worlds. And
so, I do think something's coming to this world. It just feels like it's missing that. And I think every world needs a marquee e-ticket attraction. And I think this was supposed to be that, and it just kind of misses the mark. That's not saying it's a bad ride. It's just not the ride it needs to be for that world. Once they have an e-ticket in this world, that ride becomes insanely more pleasurable to me because it's like now it's not trying to carry the weight of being like the leading man of that
and at
world.
the very least, this ride makes the land look so damn cool.
Oh my God, it is. Is it the most beautiful ride to watch from the outside in all of Epic Universe? It's like this, Hiccups
is up there.
Stardust. It's gorgeous. Like the waterfall. Like there's a video that's in the vlog that I took of you just standing looking at the waterfall, and I was like, this is fucking beautiful. Yeah. Oh, and then also we did try and wait to see Donkey Kong. I wanted to get a picture with him so bad. And we waited 2 separate times, and he just wasn't coming out because it was so damn hot.
That has to be the reason.
It has to be, right? Yeah.
They never gave a reason, but I was like, I could just imagine that
poor
person back there, like, no, get out there, no, no,
get out there and put on the time. Big banana, they're waiting for you.
Donkey Kong eventually went out there
the third time
for like 15 minutes. I heard.
Yeah, well, they'd set up 2 lines to see him. One time earlier when the portal first opened to everybody, then they were like, Donkey's not coming out, and we were like, all right. And then we got on the ride instead, and then we got off the ride, and we saw people were lining up again. And they're like, oh, is he coming back out? And they were like, yeah. Waited for about 10-15 minutes. Donkey Kong is no longer coming out, and we were like, all right, fine. And then we went over to Toadstool and just caught some shade for a second.
We got
we got the banana drink.
Yes, which came with a souvenir cup. And once again, we didn't have to pay for this one because it wasn't alcohol.
I still got mine. It was a DK barrel, which is awesome.
Well, that was what we did. We split one.
Yes.
You call it a banana split, I guess.
Yes.
And then we just asked for like an extra souvenir cup.
God, it's so cool. Oh my God, I can't wait to put some. I'm gonna put some LaCroix or some shit in there.
Yeah, we got to bring it on the show.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe when we do Minecart Madness.
Oh yeah, we'll bring the cups.
And then when the day that we decide to deem it, world class or not world class, we don't. What the rubric knows best.
Sure. But the treat was tasty. It's very sweet. I'm not a big sweets guy, so it's sweet.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to ask you because you're a big Dole Whip guy.
I love Dole Whip. I'm not a big sweets guy. I love Dole Whip.
Because my takeaway from it was I found it enjoyable, but I'm not a huge Dole Whip guy. So I was wondering if it was more so that, like it was so hot that like it was just really nice and refreshing to have. But I just kind of more like just your regular type of ice cream.
I think I like Dole Whip a little bit more because it feels more like a sherbet or a sorbet. It's like in that kind of neighborhood, whereas this just felt like a little bit more substantial. And I don't know, maybe I'm just Disney pilled in that sense, but I feel like I don't know. It was good, and the waffle cone was great, but that cup is awesome.
It did come with the waffle cone.
So we did that. We ate that in Toadstool, and then we got word like Donkey Kong coming out, and so we ran back over, and the line was already so long. And I knew and honestly, I would have waited in that line had I believed that he would still be there by the time we got to the front. And sure enough, he ended up not being, based on what people told us. He was out there for like 15 minutes.
I will add that meet and greet is next to where they serve these banana frozen treats.
Yeah.
We did not. They have a bunch of umbrellas with some tables out there where you could enjoy these things. We went to Toadstool Cafe because, of course, that was the only shade in the land, and we could not get a table for the life of us.
Oh, man, but if you get one of those tables by this little banana hut, you get a great view of Minecart Madness in that waterfall, and you're by the water. It's fantastic. So try and snipe that if you can.
Yeah, they're a hot commodity.
Literally. After that, we then went to we went back to the hotel.
That was it.
Yeah,
that was the end of.
No, because then after that, we also then went to a dinner at Volcano Bay.
Oh my gosh, that's right. Well, that was the thing is the trip to hotel. That was like our only like
pool day.
2 hours.
We had 2 hours.
We had like
at
an
the pool.
hour or two by the pool.
And then I remember when other people were going back to the hotel, they were like, "I need to sleep. I'm going to take a nap." And then you and I were like, "Pool, let's do it." We have 2 hours. We'll wash off in the pool and then go to the dinner, and that's what we did.
Yeah, and we might have had a couple drinks at the poolside bar.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're standing in a hot theme park all day, all you're thinking about is that pool. Oh man.
It was so maybe we didn't get the sleep that
no.
Well, it was, potentially required, but I don't know. I wanted to get in the water. And you know what? I will say I really appreciate the underwater speakers.
Oh yeah, there's underwater speakers in the pool at Stellanova.
Stellanova. I'm assuming Terra Luna has these as well because they're basically mirrored versions
of each other. The two hotels, that is, yeah.
So yeah, you could hear the music underwater, kind of like at their Hard Rock Hotel. So
yeah,
I thought that was really neat.
That was really fun. Then we went to Volcano Bay. They had like a little dinner set up there. The park wasn't open, but they had dinner there. That was okay.
Okay.
It wasn't great.
Look, that was all right. Look,
are you about to go in?
I'm gonna go in, dude.
Okay,
I'm
sure.
Sorry.
Hey, go in, dude.
You know what?
I was gonna just let it pass, to be honest, because here's why I was willing to let it pass. But I will let you go in. But I'm just gonna say the reason why I was gonna let it pass is because unlike the other things we've talked about, that is not an experience that people will be having as a guest.
No.
That was strictly a media event, like food that was for the media event. That I don't even know if they serve that in the park, and it was like they needed a place to serve us dinner, and so they were like, "Oh, why don't we just serve them dinner in Volcano Bay?" That's what it felt like, and it was that essentially.
Yes. Here's my takeaway from it.
Oh boy!
I will preface this by saying the number one thing that Ryan brought up to me every time he asked me to look at the itinerary was, "We get to go to Volcano Bay."
I was so stoked.
Volcano Bay for dinner.
I was stoked.
And look, we knew that this was a dinner event. Like, we're not going to go to the water. We're not, going to do the water slides. Like, we knew the water park wasn't going to be open. It was just going to be an event at Volcano Bay.
But I thought, okay, elite ambiance.
You are a purveyor of the tiki vibes.
I love tiki bars. We're sitting in a tiki room right now. We're going to have some tiki drinks with some music playing. And
Volcano Bay has a great bar.
They do.
By the water.
They have several.
That was not open for this event.
There was no bar. There was no music.
So here's the thing, and I think I understand why we had the event there, and I'm not going to be ungrateful. Like, they had, they treated us to some food.
It wasn't great though. No one really liked it.
And nobody was having a great time at this event. Like, let's just be real.
Yeah, no, that's the truth.
We got off the bus. We were riding this wave of stoke because you're kind of serenaded with the island music
as you're walking in of
the fictional Waturi tribe.
We met Tim Tracker as we were walking.
We met the Tim Tracker. I could put a face to the name now.
Yeah, and he's
because I know he gets requested on our show all the time.
He said he'll come on the show.
We will have Tim Tracker in the near future. And so yeah, no, like all the people like lovely, and we're serenaded by this music. You see the volcano. We're super pumped. Like they handed us once again. I think they handed us a drink off the bus.
They did not.
Did they not?
Oh no, wait. They did.
I think they handed us a drink.
They did.
So it was like a little taste of more to come maybe.
Yeah.
No alcohol at the event after that drink they
Which I would
handed.
have gladly purchased, by the way.
Oh, happily. If they would have had that is it the dragon? What is it? Is it some something dragon, the bar that they have there,
Like Broken Dragon or something like that. I can't recall.
Regardless, it's like by the sand. It's like it's amazing. Like if you're just a regular guest to Volcano Bay, you can enjoy it. Wasn't open for this, and there was no booze. Not to say it's a deal breaker. Like,
but there was also it was like these little setups for food that were banquet style, but the lines for those were pretty long, and the food itself and the portions were, let's just say, they left a lot to be desired. And you just look around at people are just sitting at like tables, vaguely hearing music loops from Volcano Bay, no live music,
and everyone's exhausted.
and everyone was super tired. Yeah.
So that's the thing is like you just kind of took in the energy of just, it was like people are just awkwardly just sitting around, really tired, looking around like.
And it was hot too. It was really hot. Still.
Did this have to happen, or could we have just
Had dinner at the hotel?
yeah. And like I will get back to like I understand why they did it.
I'd be curious to hear.
A bunch of people, like, you got to think that when you do a big media event like this is how they kind of set the stage. They had us see Helios to get a taste of seeing the Epic Universe, and they took us on a VIP tour to their pre-existing parks,
Which are awesome.
So I think this was their way of getting people that had never been to Volcano Bay to take a look at Volcano Bay so they could officially, have given you an entire tour of the Universal Orlando
Then it feels like
Resort.
uncut gems. It's like, why would you show it to me if I can't have it?
And I think that is my big criticism is like I appreciate, especially people that are unfamiliar with the resort, getting to kind of see everything.
Yeah.
Kind of whet the appetite for whatever coverage you're doing, because I bet a bunch of these outlets are, they're writing, for, potential families that are going to read these articles.
For sure, yeah.
And people that are planning their next trip. So I understand it in the sense that Volcano Bay adds in like a huge amount of value to the Universal Orlando Resort experience. But selfishly speaking, and on behalf of all the media, everyone was so exhausted with this itinerary, getting just hammered in the sun all day. But by the time we made it over there and there's like not really much going on, and you're just kind of thinking we could have been at the hotel, I guess
happy as a clam.
they
dude.
eventually had one of those fire twirling
guys.
performances. We didn't.
It was on the beach
We didn't catch that bit
because we walked over to the Aventura for.
Yeah, so we kind of went a little. We
went rogue.
We went rogue. We tried, I think, initially to walk to Cabana Bay, because I've stayed at Cabana Bay before. It's one of my favorite hotels at the Universal Orlando Resort. It's
Pathway
quick,
was closed though,
and I think they knew that there was going to be some. What's the word I'm looking for?
some sickos. They were going to be like, I know there's a really fun bar set up over at Cabana Bay where we could probably order food there too.
Yeah.
Because we were only able to procure like maybe a plate, and by a plate I mean like a small like a tapas style plate of.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we found a way to make it to Aventura through another walkway. And funny enough, when we were walking up to Aventura, we saw a couple other people from the event getting into an Uber
With their lanyards on.
because we all had like our
Media
the
lanyards.
media lanyards, and we're just like, hey, like,
I
you
walked up to her and I was like, oh, you guys.
had the same idea we had.
And then she just, as she was getting into the Uber, she looked at us and went, oops. Got in the Uber and left.
So we proceeded to get a beer at Aventura.
And then we just
and then-
kind of chilled and decompressed for a little bit.
A little bit, and then we walked back, and then just got in the line for the bus, and then took the bus back.
Had a lovely night. And then the next morning, now let's get over to, we started at Dark Universe.
Yes. Well, we started the big tent again, but
Big tent at 7:30 a.m., then
we walk out to Dark Universe
at 8 a.m.
They do the big Victoria Frankenstein show. didn't have the best viewing port. I think I got some shots, but funny enough,
God, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, like Ryan, like looks, he's like, you know what? Like I'm just gonna like go sit in the backdrop, and he's gonna do his little hang around the Media Mountain strategy.
I was like, I'm gonna use the shade from Media Mountain just so I can have some shade here. And you know who had the same idea as me? Mark Woodbury. And I think he didn't realize I was part of the, the vlogger media crew, like the writers and all that stuff, because I was standing right next to Media Mountain and I had my arms crossed, and I guess that just covered up my lanyard or whatever, but it looked like I was one of the camera people on Media Mountain.
So while we're all stuffed at the front of the portal with like our gimbals and our camera, mine. I actually watched some of this footage.
It's crazy.
Last night. And lo and behold, you're just sitting back there and you're just filming from the distance, just getting a big shot of the crowd.
I'm getting a wide of the entire presentation, and then Mark Woodbury just enters my frame.
He just walks into the middle of your shot.
And just plants himself, like literally I could have tapped him on the shoulder. And
it looks staged.
It looks staged. It's crazy. He had no idea, I think, that he had to have seen me with my phone filming, but like he was standing right in front of me, and it was really cool because obviously, this is something that he has publicly been working on at least for about 5 years. Who knows how long?
At least, yeah.
Who knows how long secretively, in secret has he been working on this?
I mean, they've had that land for so long.
And he's been planning this day, the grand opening. Media is invited. We're going to have a presentation to open up officially Dark Universe to the world. And I just saw somebody who's like been looking at all the planning, making all these creative decisions, and then finally being in the moment, being able to kind of take it in and enjoy it. And it was fun. Like you could see like when things got laughs or, he was like, laughing himself and like kind of like nodding his head. Like I was seeing like a guy looking at it, things going like, oh, this is working. Like, yeah. And that was really cool. And then, and I'm not going to get into details because I don't want to get in trouble, but he forgot, I think, that I was just standing there because I was silent. I was like Drax in Avengers Infinity War. Like it was just so still that I was invisible. He forgot that I was just standing there, and I guess just assumed I was one of the cameramen at Media Mountain who didn't care and was. So he just started talking about some of the logistics, and there was another person that was another executive. And they were just talking shop, and I heard some things that I probably shouldn't have heard that may or may not be coming, and that'll leave it at that. And
I don't even know these things.
I told you, but and I was like, we journalistic integrity. We can't publish any of this journalistic integrity. We do have some integrity.
We can't give up our sources.
No, we can't give up our sources,
even if they are Mark Woodbury.
I have it on pretty good authority that's of certain things that are at least in the works. But yeah, that was really cool. I actually I brought a film camera, like a little 35 millimeter film camera. And I took a picture of him looking at the presentation over his shoulder, and you could see him kind of like smiling. I can't wait to see what that film looks like, just because like that's literally he's not Walt Disney, but it's like a guy at the level of authority, I would say, of a Walt Disney in terms of this park, watching an opening ceremony from his POV with him in the frame. I mean,
yeah, this is not like a new thing he got deployed into. He's been part of the Universal Parks for.
I almost want to send him the picture because it's probably a dope picture.
I know.
Not to say that I'm like fucking.
He's gonna be like very touching. Your band.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm scared of. I want to give it to him, be like, dude, this is a fun memory for you. And
get these guys off.
And he'll be
get,
like,
get these clowns off the media list.
I know you were listening to my little clandestine meeting. Anyways, we walked through. I mean, again, my favorite world, obviously, for if you know any of my background in the entire park. It's so good. It's small. It is smaller. That's something I clocked. But again, they're going to expand this land. There's rumors of this is not a rumor I heard from Mark Woodbury. Any rumor I present in this pod is not a rumor that I heard from them. Let's just clear that up. But the talk, I was hearing rumblings that there might be a boat ride coming to Dark Universe in the form of a Creature from the Black Lagoon ride, which I think that world needs.
Which is music to my ears.
It is.
Because after experiencing Curse of the Werewolf Well, I guess not the first time, just because we revisited it
You
on
want to
this
start?
trip.
Let's start there. Let's start Curse of the Werewolf. Thoughts, Byron?
I don't like it. I don't like Curse of the Werewolf. I think,
Why don't you?
I wasn't
like it,
excited from like when they were building it. I didn't like it. I don't feel like it. It felt like a last minute addition or like a substitution for a show or something.
I mean, it's an off the shelf coaster.
It's a mock spinner. We haven't really had the fortune of really spinning much on this.
No, because it's not a controlled spin. It's a gravity spinner.
We haven't gotten the money seats. The weight distribution hasn't been in our favor.
We didn't have enough beers.
You know what? I saw the werewolf this time.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's not an animatronic though.
No, it's just still. And I don't know. I think the track with the netting and stuff is just kind of an eyesore.
It is, and I know there was rumors that there would be some sort of projection on the netting at night. I didn't see that.
No.
We didn't actually. We weren't able to get on this at night because the time we had in these parks at night was very, very limited because it was concurrent with like the grand opening ceremony, which you want to be there and get that coverage.
And this was when we were first there for this particular event. It was the morning.
Yes.
And we did lead with Curse of the Werewolf. You know what? There's going to be people that love this ride.
No, it's a fine.
It's a family coaster, so it does do that.
It's a filler attraction in a park that's new that needs filler attractions, and
it's just been often posted at a 75-minute wait this week.
That's bananas.
Which is, that's a lot of the rides at this park right now. I mean, it's the opening month, so. But I wouldn't say it's that good of a ride.
I'm actually curious. Right now we're recording this at 4:27 Eastern Time on a Tuesday, June 3rd. Let's just take a quick little peek and see what Curse of the Werewolf is rocking right now from a wait time. I'm going to guess 10 minutes because the waits actually have been pretty good so far because I think they have been limiting capacity. So shout out to Universal for doing that.
I don't know. I've looked the last few days. It's
not
been
changed?
the case. Yeah,
It's
dude,
changed?
take a look. I'm guessing 60 minutes. 65.
Oh, my.
Is it more?
Why don't you guessing 65?
65.
It's 100. Ayaza. That's rough. That's rough. Dragon Racers Rally, 35. Fire Drill, 45. I gotta say, if I waited 45 for Fire Drill and I had a cackling weirdo blast me as I just dispatched, I'd be so angry.
45 is worth it if you got a clean shot at someone.
Mario Kart delayed. Minecart Madness delayed. You're gonna see that a lot.
Ooh, that's a tough go for Nintendo World.
It's a tough world. 45 minutes for Yoshi's Adventure, though. Have a blast. But Monsters Unchained, my beloved.
Oh, the just capacity.
The capacity
darling.
is so fucking good. 15-minute wait. You know what's funny about that is you see that and you're like, oh, that must not be a good ride. It must be kind of a. I almost feel like they need a. It's crazy to say. I think they need to figure out a way to make it more featured and marquee feeling, because like the facade is marvelous. Like that the outside of the manor is spectacular, but seeing it like in a list. Like on the app list right here, you see Monsters Unchained, and you see 15 minutes. You're like, oh, what is this, like their Jungle Cruise or something? Like if you don't know anything about the park, I guess it's kind of featured in the promo, but it's crazy.
I've often seen it like listed like 45 or so, but that's usually the max. And just that Kuka arm system though, that's like you can't get better capacity.
No, you see that with Forbidden Journey
than,
even. My thoughts on Curse of the Werewolf. I think it's a fine ride. It's a good filler attraction. Probably better at night. We didn't get to ride it at night. But the swing launch is fun. It's fun. It's not a great ride.
Yeah, and if you're a thrill seeker, you're kind of just at the mercy of whatever seat you end up in, and if it spins a lot.
It's just crazy because, like, if there's a 100-minute wait in Dark Universe, that should be for Monsters Unchained, and I probably would wait in that if I was in the park. And 15 for Curse of the Werewolf feels like the max for me.
Yeah,
waiting 100 for that is demonic. That's a
rough go, and but that's why it's like music to my ears when you brought up the water ride. Because my takeaway from this last trip was I kept thinking before you brought up the water ride,
the creature ride, alleged creature from the Black Lagoon,
be, right?
It's got to be coming.
Because I was thinking, when I did Curse of the Werewolf this last time, I was thinking, you know what? I kind of wish that this was like in the woods and it was like a rafting ride or a boat ride or something like that.
Yeah, like what the wolf, because the Wolfman's around bodies of water too. God, can you imagine like a versus ride where Wolfman and Creature like meet, like, get into a little tussle or something?
Oh, that'd be so cool.
But because Creature by the way, heavily featured in the Q video. And in one of the pre-show rooms, there's a video. It's like a found footage video playing in Monsters Unchained, and Creature from the Black Lagoon has a pretty big featured moment in there. I think Wolfman kind of does as well. We weren't able to see the full loop.
And that is, it's funny because when we went for the first media preview in April, a lot of the effects have changed.
Yes.
So whereas the Creature from the Black Lagoon in Monsters Unchained, the first time we did it, was, in my opinion, one of the weakest points of the ride, it is now one of the strongest points.
It's one of the
ride.
coolest scares in the ride, yeah.
So it was really neat to see that they kind of took certain criticisms and probably did their own self-criticisms.
Yes.
And maybe some things just weren't quite ready yet.
There were some different lighting effects as well, too.
It's been really cool to see kind of like toward the finish line that we're still seeing them at work. They're not done yet.
Yes.
Even in the middle of this event itself, they made modifications to the pre-show,
which is fun.
So really neat that they're just constantly trying to find ways to plus it.
But Kierce the Werewolf, not great, not bad. It's just a good filler attraction, and I think paired with a boat ride, which will add capacity to that world, but also add some more. The one thing is Darkmoor is a little small. It's a small village. It's not like...
I mean, you don't want to also make it look too spread out, though, right? Like, you kind of want the nooks and crannies effect. Like, yeah, make it bigger.
There's not that many nooks and crannies, though. Would you say?
I don't know. I haven't spent enough time in it.
We spent a fair amount of time walking around that.
I just kept riding Unchained.
Yeah, we did ride Unchained a lot.
That ride's incredible. But a big critique for the park as a whole, for me, is... it needs a slow-moving boat ride.
It does.
It needs more themed slow dark rides. I think they went hard for going to get these big innovative e-ticket type attractions.
Yes,
which is great. They got a fantastic foundation, but there's a lot of value that gets brought today. Just bring in a simple, just well-themed dark ride or boat ride.
And this is just an overall thing with a new theme park. Like the attraction lineup roster that they have right now is on paper a really good one, but when you put it into practice, it needs other attractions, whether that be another e-ticket or a C-ticket, a slow-moving ride, to properly slot the existing rides in the right place. For example, Super Nintendo World, like I said, an e-ticket in that, all three of the attractions in that world are now properly slotted in terms of wait time and expectation. Monsters Unchained, Kierce the Werewolf, once you have a slow-moving boat ride, Kierce the Werewolf probably gets a little heat taken off of it. So, once they start to fill out these worlds as the park grows and ages, I mean, they are perfectly set up to do so. I think is the best thing you could possibly say about a theme park, where
they've done the hard part.
No, they've done the hard part, and we could say that as people who are SoCal theme park goers. We have nothing but a lack of space. We're landlocked in Universal Studios Hollywood. We're definitely landlocked at Disneyland unless they make, the Disneyland 4 changes, which will be coming in 2055. I don't know how long it's going to take for there, but no, I could see the vision for Epic, and it's just so smart how they planned it all out. They figured out a way to open up a park in phase 1, which they're actually calling it that, phase 1, and be satisfying still.
Yeah. And
when phase 2 comes, watch out.
I just hope they bring a boat ride that is Sinbad caliber.
Oh God, if only.
Do you know how much that would help the park?
It would. And I know that's funny to be like, oh, I can't wait for them to get a ride that rocks in a 5-minute average wait time. But I mean, I do think that's going to help a lot. Yeah.
Just like I think the Coco boat ride's going to do wonders for California Adventure.
I agree. Monsters Unchained. I mean, there's really not much else to say about it other than I am now firmly in the camp of it is the best ride in the park. I don't think it's actually particularly close, frankly. Just because I think there's a large subset of people that physically will not be able to enjoy Ministry of Magic. That's
fair. I also think there's a good amount of people that aren't going to enjoy the monsters.
No, that's true. Meant from a scary standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. The queue for this ride, we got to explore the entirety of the queue this time. It's so good. I love it so much. And there's some parts of it that, granted, when we walked through, there wasn't much of a line. So, but when you walk through some of these dark hallways, it's pretty scary. When there's people filled with them, that might be a little bit more, a little bit much. But there's some great moments in this queue, and every room has, other than the opening hallway when you first enter the manor, every room has some sort of show element in it that's fun to look at and will keep you occupied. Definitely not going to be looking at your smartphone on this one.
No. If that, yeah.
And another thing too is like, you see often like an element like a staircase or something in like, like Haunted Mansion and Phantom Manor over in like Paris. You see like these grand set pieces that are like in the queue, but you can't actually go like you go up the stairs, actual staircase and explore different. It makes you feel like you really are walking through this mansion. And yeah, all the rooms have something cool. There was one room that had this like, I don't even know how they did it. It's like a Dracula bat being like held captive and being electrocuted, and it's like 3D without it being 3D. It's similar to the Bomb Factory in the Mario Kart. I don't know how they do that effect. It's cool. Or they found cool ways to use screens in a way that doesn't feel like you're using a screen. Like there's a room where there's the corpse of Frankenstein, and there's like a screen that is attached to like a pulley or something, some sort of mechanical pulley that is acting like a scanner, where and it's moving in front of the Frankenstein body and showing you an X-ray of what his bones are like on the screen. And that's like a really creative way to enhance a practical effect with the screen, where it's an obvious it's a screen, because it's thematically and it's story linked, it's narrative. The queue is just full of all of those things. Even when they demonstrate like how the ride vehicle works with Igor, is
very
clever and really fun. Like it coincides with his movements. Like he's operating like a joystick that moves like the Kuka arm, and he's showing you how it works. It's a really fun setup. By the time this releases, I don't think it's going to be there anymore, but the Kuka arm little
they put people in there.
They put people in there that are strapped in restraints, and one of them is missing, and it's because that one's on the ground.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I don't know if that was intentional. I think it's really funny, though. We'll see if that's long for this earth. And then the ride. Again, new effects, better creature. I mean, it's just a spectacular ride. I know some people we talked to said that there are some spots of black patches. I didn't mind those. I don't think everything needs to be so crammed. And you really are high up on that arm.
Especially in a horror ride. I kind of like dark spaces.
No, for sure.
Because I think that was honestly one of my criticisms early on, was not thinking it was that scary, because it always felt like there was just a big thing happening in front of you, as opposed to kind of like the silent moments in like horror, like the suspense building. So I don't mind any like blank, black spots for a second or two.
What's your favorite animatronic in the ride? Because like I don't think we have anything insightful to add to this ride other than it kicks major ass.
Yeah, and
it got better every single time I rode it.
We'll give it like its due diligence when we actually review this ride for an episode. All I will say, without giving too much away, is my favorite animatronic of the ride was not working this time.
Oh, is it the...
it's like the finale.
The finale, yeah.
Yeah, so the finale was working for the first media preview for this event, for the grand opening week. It was not working.
Mine is the Phantom.
The Phantom
is so good.
Is really good. That thing is going to get memed to all hell.
Oh, it's so good. He does a little saucy turn to you as he's playing his piano, his organ, and
it's adorable.
It makes me laugh every time I see it. It's so good.
I don't know if adorable is like a word you want to associate with Monsters Unchained, but it's
just a ride that has an incredible amount of personality, while still being state of the art and telling a story. Like it has such a point of view that is perhaps not as apparent on Ministry, I think.
That's fair. And well, they set the stage much better.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's as close to a perfect ride as I could think of. I love it. It's probably my favorite ride in the world right now.
It is one of those rides that I feel like keeps getting better.
And you find something new in it every single time. And there's like hidden little details, like in one part of the ride, right actually above the creature from the Black Lagoon. There's hidden Easter eggs that are references to Halloween Horror Nights icons like Jack. And
that's right.
It's awesome. But moving on to our last world here. I guess Celestial will be our last one, but is the Harry Potter.
Yes.
What
Ministry of Magic.
What's
right?
the name of the actual world, though?
Isn't it just Ministry of Magic?
Is it?
I think it's Harry Potter and the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, and Universal Epic. Just as a fun little, want to guess how long Ministry of Magic is?
Oh, I'm going to go 215.
240. It's rough, dude. Even on like opening day when everything was a walk-on, it was 300 minutes. It makes sense because even when we were there for the small opening of this world, for just the media that was invited, we waited almost an hour for this ride.
Yeah, this thing is running at a quarter capacity at best.
We saw maybe 2 ride vehicles running, and I get it. It's an incredibly complex system, but they're going to need to figure out a way to increase the capacity on this. I think there are 2 identical loading stations that you don't know of.
Yeah, there's 2 loading rooms. That I didn't realize that the first couple times I went on it.
It could have fooled me based on the capacity and the weights. It's a fantastic ride, honestly. It's just there is heavy screen usage, and I think they use them in a fun way, but I could see people getting sick on this ride. Even myself, I felt a little... I mean, people we talked to, even on the ground, were just like, I don't really like that ride. It's too many screens.
But then there's plenty of people that think it's the best ride in the park.
Exactly.
I don't think I'm quite there anymore. I think I think Monsters Unchained is appreciated, whereas subsequent rides on Ministry, I feel like it's depreciated for me.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is in the confusing nature of the storytelling when you're on the ride.
Yes.
A lot of really cool things are happening. A lot of the time, I don't really know what's going on.
No, that's true.
There's going to be arguments made that this is the best queue in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than Monsters Unchained's queue from just a scale perspective and level of detail. I enjoy the Monsters one more, but I think this queue is better. The only one that I would put over it is probably Rise. I think that's going to be the conversation.
But Rise is like once you get to like the pre-shows.
It depends. Do you count those pre-show rooms as queue? Because I do. And if that's the case, Rise is kind of a no-brainer first place.
But it still has the majority of your wait time is still
in those caves.
In boring caves. Like the entire time you're in the Ministry queue, it's just like, how the heck did they allot this much space?
Well, there's the greenhouse
and this much
switchbacks.
attention to detail.
There's like the garden switchbacks. That
we were barely in that.
I know.
Like that's overflow.
Oh, we
that's
were.
going to be used.
We were.
Yeah.
But people who are listening to this, if they go on an average day, 240 minutes, you're going to spending an extended amount of time in that extended queue.
Fair.
Because I'm confused how it's going to work. Because like they funnel you in. This is maybe, oh man, it's tough. The Flu Network entrance is so cool of a moment that they've curated, and I think that's going to add to the wait, but it's such a fun moment. It's like that or the hangar reveal in Rise.
Yeah, what's crazy about it that I realize, it's kind of like you're waiting in 2 lines.
Yes.
Because once you flew into the Ministry, you could kind of just free roam around there, take your pictures, kind of do the... I know they kind of did that with Rise, but everyone just immediately feels like obligated to immediately run to.
Well, we don't know because we haven't been with the general public. Maybe when you get into that room, they do usher you forward. Because there are people there that are like, okay, this is the entrance to the beginning of, not a switchback, but like the railings of like lines. But I mean, like, the scale of this room, again, is spectacular. And like every one of the Ministry offices is fully outfitted with full-scale props and desks. And there's actually... I believe it was Tyler Pugh who put a video out that there's a illusion in this.
There's the mirrors on the ceiling.
The mirrors on the ceiling.
I
to
saw
make it
Disney
look like,
Dan did a post.
Disney
of that.
Dan it was Disney Dan. Yeah, it's an illusion to make it look like the offices extend forever up into the ceiling, and if you stand in a certain spot, you could actually see yourself reflected in the ceiling, which is really fun. We did finally get to see. I forget the name of the little elf lady. Elf. What's her name? Like Twiddly Dinks or some shit like that, but. Anyways, she has her feet out.
He has one foot.
1 foot out in Dolores Umbridge's office.
Yeah.
And then you have Dracula, obviously his feet are out in Monsters Unchained, which I did ask folks about, Universal creatives about.
There's answers regarding these feet. I know there's rumors circulating. I thought those rumors were so outlandish that there's no way that could be true. They're
they're fairly true.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are, but...
Yeah, we Actually, one critique about Ministry of Magic that actually does extend to one tiny part of Monsters Unchained, actually. I forgot to mention this. The only part of me that was like, I don't love that in Monsters Unchained, and you might be able to guess which part.
Oh, it's probably the projection of the fiery windmill.
Oh, no, I didn't like that, but that was like, that's a small detail. I was like, whatever. It's more so it was the projection face on Victoria Frankenstein. What's going on with that?
That's fair, because in the ride itself, she's just a regular animatronic.
She has a regular animatronic face.
And it looks great.
So is Igor. He has a normal face too.
The pre-show with the projection face, it's just not quite there. It looks worse on camera.
Oh, it looks bad on camera because you could tell the screen where the screen separates from like the animatronic body.
But it still looks like a little too overexposed or something. Or it gives off some of that Frozen projection.
Yeah,
face.
The wrapping of the face on the actual mold, the projection of the face on the mold isn't quite seamless. It's odd and kind of. It's odd looking. There's never a point where you're like, that's a real face. Whereas like the animatronic of her in the ride is fantastic. So I'm a little confused at why it's the only instance of that in the entire ride too. That's what's so strange about it. Whereas in Ministry of Magic, it's featured in maybe 4 or 5 animatronic figures. There's a Dolores. Yeah. There's 2 Doloreses that have it. There's the main 3 Harry Potters. They have 3 Harry Potters. Harry Potter, Hermione, and Ron. They have projection faces at some point. I don't like it.
It doesn't work. It looks like two animatronics were kind of morphed together. Or
yeah,
something.
and
it's like 75% awesome, and then there's like this small piece of their face that it just looks.
I guess the argument is like you have that projection face to add more expression to it, but if I'm not buying it's a face, that doesn't matter anymore to me. So like, and especially if the ride has otherwise great animatronics fully realized with real faces.
The fluidity of the movements of all these animatronics.
Oh my God.
Is like, they don't get much better than that.
No, I mean, it's, as much as I say Monsters Unchained, I think it has the most advanced animatronics in the world inside that building. You could throw the Death Eater animatronic in I think it's like there's like a library room where like a big like filing room. I'm not a big Potterhead, but like there's like a library room, and the animatronic of the Death Eater in there is like you think it's a person.
Yeah, because you don't have to show its face.
You don't have to show its face, but the movement
it looks like a live actor.
It's crazy. There is some. We're gonna get into some good things about it. I'm just airing out all the things that I was like as I was writing through Ministry of Magic again. I was like, what is going on with these like weird like AI versions of Ron, Harry, and Hermione that like, because obviously they're not that age anymore, or they couldn't get them contractually to come do it again. They're like somewhat CGI looking versions of them.
They did get a couple actors to do the opening, the ceremony in front of the portal.
They did. They got the Weasley twins.
Warwick Davis was there.
Yeah.
And then they had the Weasley twins.
It's an incredibly complex ride. The system it's using is crazy. It's a system that they use to oil drill in terms of like a vehicle moving up and down on a screw. Essentially, it's a mega version of this Adventures of Spider-Man movement in terms of vertical movement. It doesn't have like the 6 degrees of movement that the Spider-Man vehicle does, but it can move up and down when combined with some of the motion simulating. It's effective, and you really are confused at what's happening. Technologically, it's probably the best ride in the park. Technologically.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're looking at it just evaluating a ride just from tech, yeah. It's just still a little too much screens for my taste. And the story itself operates under the assumption that you're able to make some assumptions on the storyline. And if you aren't well versed in the world, you're going to be a little lost.
That's my big critique is they don't do as incredible as the queue itself is. They don't give you a proper pre-show.
They don't.
And all you know is Dolores Umbridge is on trial.
And
why is she on trial?
But also like
it's like unless you've like read or watched the movies, like you're not really going to know what's going on, I feel like.
There's some time travel elements, which if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that's even in the canon of the main series.
I don't think it is either.
And even if it is, they don't really introduce that they briefly mention Time Turner
It's like mid-ride, I feel like.
And it's like mid-ride, a bunch of other shit is happening, so it's a confusing setup. There's no really getting around it, honestly. I'm sure there's Potterheads out there that are like, you didn't know that's like, you know, like, I'm great. Maybe I'm just not in on the lore as much.
Yes.
But I mean, for example, Monsters Unchained, I know those monsters are characters, but the story itself was a brand new story and concept that is incredibly easy to follow.
And how, you know, the climax of Monsters Unchained, especially now that I've like ridden it a few times, like taking in how things get resolved makes a lot more sense and is a lot more effective than I think what you get in Ministry.
I agree. I still think it's a fantastic ride, and you do everything you can to ride it. And
I mean, those showrooms, like, once again, like, I don't know if there's a ride that has this many big showrooms.
Oh my God, that library showroom.
Even if they have a lot of projections and stuff, it's incredible, like, how like big of a scale this ride is.
I mean, even because we got the pleasure and privilege, like, again, of being in the backstage area, and the show building is fucking massive. And it makes sense because IQ's massive, and then there are show scenes in the ride that are massive. I mean, again, if this is like, this is going to be such a dumb comparison. This is like a stadium tour, like, kind of ride, like, in terms of scale, whereas Monsters is the more intimate. Even though you're moving through an expansive environment in terms of just like the length of the ride itself, there aren't spaces or rooms that are large scale like this, or even Rise of the Resistance. Monsters is all about intimacy and putting you up close to these animatronics and the storyline, and it's a horror thing, so you need to have that kind of tight feeling. So they're inherently different in that sense, but it's just Monsters is, I don't know, it's just a better ride. There's no really getting around it, honestly. I don't know what else to say. Feel free to argue with me. That's fine. It's just,
I know some people that hang on to Battle of the Ministry and they prefer it.
And we've been on both where the response after the ride was obviously super enthusiastic for both. Also, the ending music for Monsters Unchained is such a banger. Like, when you're like, the ride ends and it just feels like a moment. But yeah. And
that being said, these are both in the same park, and that's fucking crazy.
It's insane, and they're next to each other. But other than that, the world itself is enormous. The scale is crazy. Like I said, they use perspective shifts in terms of stilts and stuff being hidden behind certain things to make it look bigger even. And
it feels like you're in Paris. They nailed it.
It really does feel like you're in Paris.
If you like going to France and visiting Paris and that kind of thing, like, it looks like that, like the architecture,
and there's hidden like show scenes in like the windows, just like there is in Hogsmeade and stuff like that. And we talked to a portrait for like 10 minutes.
A long time.
It was a portrait that like could see us and was actually like, it was like Donkey, like the Donkey animatronic.
It was like Turtle Talk with Crush level of interaction that you could just go walk up to, like, your window shop.
It was crazy.
Fucking nuts.
But yeah, I mean, other than that though, needs another ride.
I mean, they got the space for it, right? Like, we kind of, they have more backstage. It's just like, are they going to put a different world there? But if they want to, they could easily put another show building.
And then they have the show itself.
Le Cirque Arcanu. We didn't do that one this time, but we have seen it before.
It's rocking like an hour wait usually, and tough to get in for that one too. I mean, it's just tough when every attraction, whether it be a show or ride in a world, is damn near impossible to get on at this moment.
But then again, we met people that worked on that show, and they were concerned that How to Train Your Dragon, Untrainable Dragon, was going to get like all the love, and hey, Le Cirque Arcanu is getting a lot of attention.
No, I like Le Cirque Arcanu better.
So, I mean, I think it works for us more too. I think for the kiddos, I think they'll love Untrainable Dragon. I still think it's a great show, and
like I said, I'm not even a big Potterheads by any means, but like I like Le Cirque Arcanu more than
really cool effects and
really cool like illusions and stuff like that. But again,
lacking attractions.
Attractions. There is not a lot to do in that land in terms of that. Like they're really banking on you just exploring. Yeah, which if you're a big fan of the series, you're going to explore probably, right?
Like the window shopping nature of it, how you're able to talk and interact with things, like that's pretty insane. But yeah, I could use another ride. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it needs something to fill out the world for sure. It's got an even bigger problem than Dark Universe has.
Yeah.
But then from there we
freshened up or go to Stardust.
No, dude, we went over to the Blue Dragon.
That's right. Okay, so in between these two visiting these two worlds, we had lunch. The first day we did Atlantic. The second day we had Blue Dragon.
Again, banquet style, but even still, this food was fantastic.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty good.
The weak link for me was the Coast soy they served. But apart from that, like, once again, I'm a little snob on the Thai food sometimes. Right. Koh soy is like a dish that like originated from the north of Thailand.
I mean, it was all pretty, very, very good, serviceable
Nothing
food.
was bad. What was it? Did we have pot stickers? I know it's on the menu. I don't know if...
Oh, no, we didn't have the pot stickers.
It's on the menu. Apparently, those are amazing, but they didn't have it at the banquet.
We had the shrimp dumplings, though. The wontons. The wontons.
Those kicked ass.
Those are pretty good.
Those were really good.
And that's, again, banquet style. I can't even imagine how much better it would be just served like it would be in a restaurant. And we had a lemon drop cocktail of some sort.
I'm so glad you
lemon yuzu.
I'm so glad you remembered that because I was blanking on it. It's a very good, refreshing drink. It wasn't like too
sweet.
Yes, that's my big thing with like cocktails. I don't like them being like
there's
too much.
A perfect amount of citrus to cut the sweetness, which was great.
Especially on, once again, a really hot day.
Yes.
We luckily got seats at the bar and we enjoyed our food and beverage there. Blue Dragon, it's getting really good reviews.
It's great.
I could see it. I can't wait for both these restaurants, honestly, to get the full table service effect with the full menu would be like the best way to actually get like a real take on these.
Yeah.
But hearing really good things, and even when your banquet food is like really enjoyable like this, it's pretty promising.
And then we tried to go over and experience Pizza Moon. We couldn't because they weren't open at the time we went. But I mean, that inside is delightful. I really, and I've heard the pizza's good, so I want to try that.
Yeah, they're really channeling that Jules Verne artwork or vibe, and yeah, one day we will go to the Pizza Moon.
The offerings in Celestial Park are really great. It's just the shade issue is a thing.
Yeah. Have you heard that tiki bar there is like
Celestiki?
Yeah, is like Volcano Bay lore.
Oh no, that's awesome.
That it's like some sort of like mini portal, sort of or like the Celestial
to the Watori.
That brought it from Volcano Bay or something. So,
moving on to the last thing here. Stardust Racers, and then we'll close this out with talking about the grand opening ceremony. Stardust Racers, take it away, Byron.
I don't want to be a glazer here, but I honestly, this is one of my favorite roller coasters on the planet.
I would agree with that.
Is it the most intense? No. Oh, is it the most innovative? No. But it is just pure fun.
It is. It's like the ultimate thrill version of, like, I guess, like, it's weird to say this, but like a Space Mountain. Space Mountain's not exactly from an Elements perspective the most thrilling coaster, but it's just so much fun to get on. And this, it's probably a top 5 coaster in the world for me. I'm not as well versed in the coaster sphere as you, so I imagine after I get on more things, like when we go to like Cedar Point and stuff like that, and or like Dollywood, I'm sure Silver Dollar City, there's probably other places that will have coasters that may slot above this. Like I just got on Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens. Like obviously that's better than Stardust, but at the moment it's in my top 5. I imagine it's never going to leave my top 10. It's
so re-rideable too.
It's so good.
I mean, I don't know what the wait times are looking like now, but the capacity for a coaster like that, really good.
It's a true dueling coaster. The best dueling coaster experience I think you could have.
Yeah. And you're gonna get that duel every time.
And Byron and I mean, nobody was getting on this. So it was Byron and I at one point. We were literally the only people in the entire ride building, and we asked them, could we get on separate trains and duel each other? And we knew that if we sat on the back row...
This was the point in the day, by the way, that all the other media was going back to rest at the hotel.
That's right, we were alone.
There was you, me,
and Carly Wiesel.
Carly Wiesel walked in.
And then she was like, hell yeah, dudes.
Let's ride.
And we sat in the back row on the outside seat of the back row so that when it came to the launch and all the dueling elements, we could almost like high-five each other, which was... I don't think we're ever going to get that experience ever again. A truly magical moment that I treasure deeply. It is such a good, satisfying ride, layout, perfectly paced. The we didn't even talk about the onboard soundtrack last time.
Got its own soundtrack.
It's awesome. We got a night ride on it.
Yes, and we could bring that up on the when we move into the grand opening ceremony, right?
Well, let's start.
Just move it in.
Let's just start into we did ride this at night. We were able to sneak it in before the grand opening ceremony.
Yeah. So basically, after we did a few rides, late afternoon, we quickly ran back to the hotel, freshened up, came back for the grand ceremony, which we already gave that context.
Yes.
Before we get over here, though, for the night ride, we are back in Dark Universe.
Yes.
Actually, no. We did Isle of Berk. We did Hiccups with the gang.
With Molly McCormick and
Tyler
Alan
was
and Tyler
there.
Pugh.
I think the Mouse Vibes
folks were there.
So that was delightful. But then we quickly moved over to. Oh, by the way, they were serving like seafood at Isle of Berk.
Yeah,
and they had all these like raw fish that were laid out
about that. Yeah,
and like it was so hot out that like they had this beautiful ice sculpture that was just looked like a waterfall. It was just melting before our eyes. All these fish, they had these fans out too to try and keep flies away. So many flies.
It was funny.
All around this foot. Like, so once we like went on like a couple rides at Isle of Berk and then we're like walking out, we walked past there, the fish were gone. Like you knew that the chef walked out and we're like, what are these fish doing here on display? No, get rid of this.
It was crazy.
So we didn't eat there, but
no. Then we went to Darkmoor again, and then
we did eat at Darkmoor though.
Yeah, we had a delicious steak there.
Sadly, this will not. I wish this was on the menu for anyone.
Is it not a Doss Steakhouse?
Oof,
it has to be.
They serving tomahawks at Doss Steakhouse.
I think it's a steakhouse.
I will lose my fucking mind
if they served that tomahawk that they were giving out. Holy shit! It was so good.
I think that was the VIP treatment.
That was
They had tomahawk steaks out on an open fire in front of the Frankenstein castle.
Yes, they did.
Honestly, one of the most delicious pieces of steak I've ever eaten in my life. Definitely went back for a couple rounds.
We did.
Speaking of getting around, we went and got the Crossbow, which is the name of like an off the menu drink at the Burning Blade Tavern, which I think is like a mixture of mead and something else.
Yeah, we actually were able to do Burning Blade Tavern this time around, and it was awesome. The drinks were the vibe inside. It's small inside, but it's a fun vibe. There's a little outdoor area too. There's a little outdoor area where you could like order a to-go drink, which is really fun.
Yeah, and that's another big takeaway that we got from this trip that we didn't from the first trip. Is Epic Universe, even if you're not, emphasizing rides for the day, kind of has that Epcot effect of you could kind of go to these highly themed places to eat and drink and just vibe out.
No, exactly. And I think a lot of people are going to treat this as like a vibe out park, especially in Celestial Park.
Yeah.
I got to see if that's on the menu, because if it is, that's absolutely absurd. It was so goddamn good.
I heard that it's not, but I know they have a steak there.
They do have a steak. It looks like it's a carved staked steak. Yeah, but no,
there's no way they're serving those tomahawk steaks on every day. Like that was
incredible.
Yeah, and once again, we got footage of it. It's in the vlog.
But from there, we got on Monsters a couple more times, and then hit our night ride on Stardust, which was...
Before we went to the night ride on Stardust, we had the temptation of doing Curse of the Werewolf. We were walking out of Dark Universe, and Curse of the Werewolf was there. And our understanding at the time was that we would have till like 1 a.m. or something to go on rides after the grand opening ceremony.
Well, that was like an assumption by us. It was never told to us.
Yeah. It was the understanding is, and we made that up in our minds because that's what we...
And others too were saying that.
That's fair.
Rumors just start.
Yeah. But no, that was never part of like the printed itinerary or anything like that. So we thought, okay, we almost went on Curse of the Werewolf, but we stopped ourselves and we're like, you know what? maybe we just go straight to Stardust now because we don't have that much time before this the grand opening ceremony starts.
Yeah.
Because we have never gotten a night ride on Stardust Racers.
Oh my God.
So we had to ask ourselves, like, look, do we want Curse of the Werewolf to be a potential reason why we don't get a night ride on like the ultimate night ride coaster?
Yeah.
And so we marched across the park. We got on Stardust Racers.
It was amazing at night.
This epic night ride.
It's so good at night.
Once again, it was just us in the train.
Yeah.
We got a photo of it.
It's great. The light package, just being on the train, the music, it felt like it was even a little faster.
Yeah. When we were waiting to load, just seeing the rest of Celestial Park lit up, like the constellation character, like carousel, like we knew we were about to like kind of welcome this new park
into the world,
like officially.
Yeah.
And I just remember like us just sitting there. I got kind of misty eyed and emotional. It was like one of those moments that just like kind of sat still, and I just felt insanely present as this roller coaster like pulled into the station. Probably one of the happiest moments I've had in a really long time.
It was great. I mean, like Molly McCormick had mentioned that, like, you know, we got invited to this media event early, not just because, like, you know, Universal, for whatever reason, values our opinion, but also just so that we could spread the word and welcome this park into the world. And, you know, being kind of tasked with that responsibility is such a fun, cool, privileged spot to be in. And that was definitely on my mind for whatever reason as we were looking out at that Celestial Park at night kind of moment too. So
it was special. We're also like just so away from the crowd at that moment. Like it was just kind of us and a few of the team members like in that station, and it just
hanging out. And man, the ride was fantastic. Get on it at night if you can. But moving into the grand opening ceremony, we actually were able to talk to some of the team members who put together the grand opening ceremony and worked on it because they were fans of the podcast, which we were like, we're fans of you. This is awesome. And this fireworks display show, I don't know if it's going to be there all the time. Maybe
there'll be a different version. They explained it to us like where it won't be that aggressive and like epic, you know, for lack of a better word. But like they are going to have like a really neat nighttime show. But this grand opening one was like they went over the top.
No, it's fantastic. The layout of it very similar to my favorite fireworks show of all time, Remember Dreams Come True, over at Disneyland, which the format of that was basically every ride in the park, you got to hear the music and sound effects of it synced to fireworks, and it was just kind of like a grand. Even the fireworks show, I think, for that one starts with like, oh, now time for a grand circle tour around the Disneyland. Mm-hmm. Like it's Walt's, not Walt's voice, but whoever's the voiceover on that train, and you get to see all the rides in like firework form, and they did that for Epic Universe too, because you know you think about it, you have the Dark Universe, you have Super Nintendo World, you have Harry Potter, and then you have some Celestial stuff, and then obviously you end with the Isle of Berk music test drive.
Yeah.
To just hit you right in the balls. Yeah.
Spielberg gave a little intro.
He gave an intro, that's right.
It was a voice intro. I don't think he was actually there present. It was pre-recorded, but still very cool.
And drones, there were some drones to spell out Epic and other things in the show. And the fireworks display finale, by far, the craziest, most grand fireworks explosion I have ever seen. It was an unfathomable amount of fireworks in the sky. And it was so loud. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, and we actually, because they were testing it the night before when we were at the Stella Nova bar.
That's right.
And like I remember, like we just kind of heard it outside, and it was just like I like freaked out. So I'm like, is this it thought like a machine gun was going off or something.
What's
people were like, oh no, they're just testing tomorrow night's show.
What's crazy too is the folks that we were talking to before the show started, that you know helped put the show together. They had mentioned that was a test, and they were like, oh yeah, we've actually never seen this show firing on all cylinders, because we tested the pyro yesterday at like 30% or 50% capacity, and tonight is the first time we're going to press the button and it's going to be 100%. And I could attest, they went 100.
It was lit.
That thing was crazy, dude. And then, yeah, everyone was just so joyful after that and just thankful to be there, ourselves included, obviously. And then we walked through the park, through the Kronos, and that was the end. And man, what a ride. And again, it should go without saying, but I have to say again, thank you to all of you guys for watching the show, supporting the show every week. We're a young show. We've only been doing this for, a year and some change now. What, a year and a half? A
little over a year and a half now, yeah.
And, we've moved homes. We're going to be moving the set soon. We're now doing our own independent thing. And, it was never a sure thing that this show would stay alive, let alone we would be invited to this caliber of a media event where we're opening up a theme park to the world like we just did. And Byron was even saying to me before, like, when we covered when we cover rides in the show, we talk about like the opening of the World Showcase, and there's archival footage of the opening of the World Showcase where everyone's pouring water into that fountain. And it's just, we don't need to look for archival footage of this grand opening because we were taking the footage ourselves. We were there. That's a crazy thing to realize. And again, the only reason we're there is because of you guys. And that's, so I really can't extend how thankful I am to all of you for supporting the show and keeping us alive, because without you, we wouldn't have been there. And so, I don't know how you thank somebody for that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And we can only hope that our debauchery can somehow, bring some value to, your theme park planning or your collective passion that you share with us. Because it really is the reason why we are so fortunate to do what we do. So.
No, this is like a dream. This is a dream. I get to hang out with my best friend and talk about rides. It's fucking amazing. And get to go to a new theme park. It's crazy. It's like it's truly, it makes you feel like you're in a simulation or something. But no, it's an amazing park. It's a top 3 park in the world for me right now. What order it is in that is kind of hard for me to determine. The second visit did nothing to change that. Thank you again to Universal. Shout out Linda LaGuardia again for having us out, for featuring the tiny podcast that could, hopefully. And yeah, I mean, it has its warts, but they're not nearly as big as any of the other, opening day fiascos that have happened in the past. And
yeah, they got a terrific foundation here.
They need some other rides to fill out the lineup. Yeah, they need some shade. And they have some capacity issues, but overall, there are things that this park does that no other park does at the moment. And
adding to an already great resort.
Yes.
So this is, it's a big game changer.
And if you want to see, the experience, the media experience that we kind of laid out in between reviewing the rides and whatnot, again, where you have the vlog either up now or it's coming soon. Really excited for you guys to see that. And
we try to do our best to make it, feel like you're kind of going through the media event as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a warts and all kind of raw edit, with timestamps and all that kind of stuff. Just so, anyone's curious of what these media events are like. You kind of, you could kind of come along for the ride.
And as wacky and exhausting as it all was too, all I could think as we were getting on the plane going home was I can't wait to plan a trip to come back and take my wife, take my mom and dad, take my friends. My
family is interested now.
Oh,
and
dude.
And they never wanted to do a Universal
we got to do it, man.
trip. So now they're like, all right, I think my mom's finally on board with doing a solely, Universal trip. Maybe we'll tack on a little bit. The tables have turned.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
We'll do the tack on Disney.
A little bit of Disney, but they really want to come see Epic Universe.
We didn't even tack on Disney this time. We tacked on Busch Gardens.
Hell yeah. And that's a little shout out to Zooter Loopers for helping make that
That's right,
possible
Zooter
for us.
Loopers. Thank you.
We will we'll post a vlog of that up soon as well, because we filmed that day. And your first experience on Iron Gwazi.
It was great. So we'll have that up eventually too, but I think that does it for this. Again, like and subscribe to keep this channel alive. If you're listening to this over on podcast platforms, rate us 5 stars, or just don't rate us at all. It helps. It really helps the podcast. And if you want, you could consider supporting the podcast over on our fourth wall, which is a version of Patreon over at fyapod.com. And you'll get a bunch of bonus stuff, 3 bonus shows a month, up to 3 bonus shows a month. the merch stores over there, and ad-free episodes.
Yep, including the new ones now.
Including the new ones now, thanks to Byron's hard work. A lot of this thanks to Byron's hard work. And
it's really fun work. It's hard to call it work.
For sure. Well, I'm thankful. Anyways, but that does it for us, guys. I guess enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for spending your time with us, and we'll see you on the next ride. Welcome to the World Epic Universe. Wow.